that. Oh, okay, everyone loaded in. All right, hello and welcome. We got a little bit of a preview over on Toph's channel. Of course, thank you for co-streaming on this, Toph. And welcome to the Mixup. We got a really cool episode right now. Huge thank you to the Golden Guardians for partnering with us on this really star-studded cast we have going on today. As quickly as I can introduce everybody, we have the best player in the world, Zane. We have one of the best commentators in the world, Toph. Just Casual, the best marketing person in the world. And then Indy, the best social media person in the world. All Golden Guardians affiliates. Thank you guys for joining us on the show tonight. Of course, I'm Turned Down for Walt, and my co-host Radar are here to bring you guys a cool episode, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we could probably actually have the non-player Golden Guardians guys give themselves like a more proper intro. You know, tell us what you guys do. Maybe for people who aren't as familiar with you guys, you know, why you're appropriate guests for today's episode.
You want to go first, Sam?
Sure. I'm still wondering why I'm a guest actually on this show, but
Come on, man, stop.
I guess GG means something, I guess. Yeah. No, so hi guys, my name is Sam, aka Just Casual. I guess I'm here because I've been working for Golden Guardians for 2 years, and the last project that I've been leading, currently leading, is the GGMelee YouTube channel. So all that cool content that I'm getting really heavily carried by our 4 players that feature on our content. They're making me look really, really good, and I'm a noob with Melee, but because I rely on awesome people like Zeke and other members on our team that really know Melee, we've been able to pull off something pretty cool. So I guess that's why I'm here. Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, you're here because we love you, man. And you
Yeah.
work,
Good
so.
enough. This is the guy that people like. Invited.
And I guess all that I've known is Melee since my adult life began. I started playing like college in Colorado, then moved to SoCal. Slime was a part of the Colorado scene way back in the day. Him and I got really close in Colorado. And then I saw him move to LA and get a big boy esports job. And I was like, oh, it really is that easy to just like follow your dreams and like make it big. So I followed suit and then started working for Team Liquid, doing some social media stuff for them. And then eventually moved over to Golden Guardians and was really excited to hear that they were making a big leap into Melee, because in another life I was a sick Marth player, and now I'm just a washed up commentator who has hot Twitter fingers all the time. So I thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey,
How do you know Aiden?
I met Aiden, Lud, Slime, all those guys when they came to DreamHack Denver in 2017. Well, I met Ludwig in DreamHack Denver, and then when I came to SoCal, my initial housing situation kind of fell through. So Lud let me sleep on his floor for like 2 weeks while I got everything sorted out. Nice. This is way before. He was still working at Snapchat, so you know I can attest to him being a good guy before he became like the biggest streamer on Twitch or whatever. And then I met all those, the gang. I met Neeper and Aiden and all those guys from way back in the day. So
Right.
we go back. But yeah, I've been more behind the scenes. I'm not a Slime. I'm not an Aiden. I'm not a Lud. But I'm here just the same. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm gonna start by apologizing to you. I'm sorry I had to single you out like that in my video today. I wasn't gonna bring it up. Content. I was actually listen. This is important. I was actually thinking about in the shower because back, if you remember 2016, 2017, Plup used to complain a lot about Puff and Ice Climbers, and he was an amazing player.
Look. So, if I'm gonna get a comparison to Plup, it's all water under the bridge. It's all water under the bridge for me.
I had to do it for the video. You understand? I had to do it for the video.
Of course, yeah.
But Nick replied to me and he said, "Hey, what you said was messed up. Zeke was top 10 Colorado," and I said, "You know what? That's fair. There are some great players who have really not liked Puff and Ice Climbers, and Zeke was probably one of them." So
okay.
But that video is doing very well, and I want you to know that it's probably because of you. You took one for the team.
Okay, yeah. I'm a cog in the content machine.
Can you guys tell us, like, if there's probably, maybe not everyone in the viewer audience right now, but someone watching on YouTube or whatever later, what is the tweet that you're referring to?
Yes.
If anyone has not seen it already.
Should I take this one, Zeke, or you want to take it?
I can start off if you want to take it from me. I'll hand it off. Okay. So This is a look into, in Jimmy Neutron, like when he does the brain blast, and you see how his brain works. This is that. So it's Monday morning, right? I'm rolling out of bed and I'm gonna go, I need some engagement on the Golden Guardians Twitter account. This is my job.
True.
What do people hate? Back in my heyday, popping ice climbers.
Wobbling's been banned.
I know. People still hate ice climbers. Do people hate ice climbers? Okay, so it's again. I'm rubbing the crusties out of my eyes. I'm in a meeting and I go, you know what? 9 a.m. rolls around. I got to get a tweet out. It was the meme where you take all the good parts, then you find one bad part, and I was like, Melee's the perfect game, except.
Is it
everyone
fucking
fucking
up, or did you get like?
Oh, of course it's up. It's popped off. It's pinned. It's pinned to the profile.
Oh, it's pinned. Let's go.
No, it's definitely not pinned. But
this is for everyone at home who needs to see what this tweet is.
But again, it wasn't supposed to be that serious. But I should have known better that the Melee community.
Is it?
I should have known that the Melee community would go, "Hey, you called my character lame. Fuck you and the Golden Guardians. I'm unsubscribing from Zane and Toph." And so Toph, rightfully so, was like, "Hey, this is a pretty bad take," and he used it for content, which honestly, it's a win for both of us as far as I'm concerned.
It is a win. And the follow-up to it was very funny, by the way, and I think was a good reconciliation where you did the little blurb at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. So on Tuesday, I put the exact same thing. Instead of putting Puff and Ice Climbers, I just put, "This game is perfect. Nothing's wrong with it. All the characters are viable at the top level if you believe hard enough, blah, 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 blah." So, we double down around here.
I like that you double down. Yeah.
We don't want anything back around here.
You gotta respect a good double down. Yeah.
Quick aside, I actually retweeted that tweet. I thought it was the most wholesome thing ever. I saw it on my Twitter. I saw it on my homepage. I was like, "Oh, it is a perfect game."
So funny.
And then I was like, "Why is it getting so much hate and traction?" And then I clicked on it, and then all full screen except Puff and Icy's. I was like, "Oh."
Dude, actually, same. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, he's probably like just gonna put the box around the whole thing, and it's gonna be like really nice." And then I was like, "Oh my god!" And I saw all the quote retweets.
In retrospect, maybe next Monday we roll with that idea. Maybe we see how that goes compared to the first one. And
I thought it was a fire tweet. It got the engagement.
You got.
I do numbers around here, Zane. I do numbers.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think we saw pretty much everybody. Shout outs to Firepuff in the chat for being one of the people who was not happy. So, yeah,
fucking Firepuff. Yeah. How did Firepuff? Can someone explain to me like his rise to prominence? Like, why does everyone?
I think he can explain it to you.
The moment where it was surreal was when Firepuff 12 was in that Ludwig and Slime skit where they're defusing the Armada bomb.
Big part, yeah.
Well, they were commentating about him first. Like they started calling things the Firepuff 12 on.
Yeah, like the Nair
specifically the Nair.
Specifically, he literally only goes for Nair. He literally only goes for it. It actually should be called Firepuff 12. Yeah.
He tried to argue with me that Nair is Puff's best move, and I was like,
it's not. But
I don't know, man. That seems questionable. And
I like his Puff. I think it's cool. I mean, is it the best way to play Puff?
Yes.
Knowledge may vary, but I like it.
We're still working on it.
Oh man.
So, Firepuff jokes aside.
Yeah, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Our first topic, which is a SCL recap. Speaking about kind of what happened last week.
For sure. I feel like we have the perfect person to talk about it, right? Zane, what do you think? What do you think about that week? I mean, what do you think about like the format as a whole? Because I feel like some people have varying opinions on how they feel about it. Like personally, I think it's excellent for the viewer side, but I don't know what you guys think on the player side of everything.
Yeah, I'd say it's all worth it just because viewership wise. And in a time where Melee really needs that kind of viewership, it's really successful. From a player perspective, it's really draining. To not have. I mean, listen, I haven't been in D2 yet, so I don't know. But but I'd imagine it would be pretty disheartening. And then you don't have a losers bracket, so even if you win your next D2 match, it's like, damn, I can't get a run back on that guy that I lost to or whatever. So in that regard, it seems like Cody, when he lost to Zach, was like, I would do anything to make this a double in bracket. because he was like, I do like way better in losers brackets. So in that sense, it's really like tough for a competitor, but I enjoy it. And I think it's really good for viewership. Yeah.
I would enjoy it if I were you too.
Yeah, I feel like because
cool.
I started doing some videos to like recap the tournaments, like just for people who can't catch the whole event and everything like that. And like I guess I can be a little bit empathetic towards the players in that, like, yeah, it's totally grindy. I think in D2 where anything can really happen, and like even this week there were like all four people in relegations got swapped out into D2, which is insane. But for me, like, that makes D2 super interesting because I have no idea what's going to happen from week to week.
Right.
So again, like from the viewer perspective, it's like, holy moly, there's so many cool unique sets that I feel like players don't get to see all too often. And then D1 just has all the high profile stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ben versus Kadoran in D2.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
It's pretty high level Mars Sheik, and we don't like they play in like weeklies and stuff, but it doesn't often get like that kind of high profile attention that SCL has. So that was, and it went down to the wire too. So I usually like have on my other monitor, I'll have like the other matches while I'm like practicing the matchup that I need to focus on. So I'll like catch bits and pieces. But for that one, I was like watching the whole set. I was like, oh, this has got like a cool narrative to it too. So I really enjoyed that one.
What do you think about Kadoran?
What was the first question, Radar?
Have you played Ben Sheik, Zane, like friendlies or practice or?
Yeah. So I felt bad because majority of my games versus Ben were Roy Sheik. And I felt like a dickhead because I was like, well, this guy's like obviously like trying to get better. And I was thinking about like from my perspective, like when I was like grinding and my name was coming up, like I'd want to play as many good people as possible. So I hit him up. I think twice now we've done like extensive Marth Sheik sessions because I also need to practice that matchup, especially when both Leffen and Cody were saying that they're gonna go Sheik. Now that's changed a little bit, but I'm really impressed by him. I think he has a lot of room to improve, and I saw him and heard him speak for the first time at the SCL actually, and it seems like he's got like a good head on his shoulders when it comes to improvement, and excited to see what he's going to do. I think he's pretty talented. And then you were talking about Kadoran, right, Tev?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what did you think about? Because like he obviously had that big win versus Plump, which was like, I think really impressive. He had a little pop off, which I thought was cute.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I remember watching Kadoran when because he's like a West Coast Marth that kind of, he's like the latest. He's the latest of like a long lineage of amazing like top 20 players to like come out of Irvine, which like makes no sense. Irvine like has spawned.
It just breeds melee. Yeah.
Yeah, from Zoo and Flamini to back in the day and all So anyway.
Yeah.
I wonder what you think about his Marth.
Yeah, I've had lessons with Kadoran actually, and I think the way he thinks about the game is very different from the way I think about it. But we both can still help each other with our own unique perspectives. I would say I think he's very solid, and I like the way that he goes about improvement, both in terms of mentality and just in game. The one thing that I would critique is that, so this is a common thing with a lot of players, is from Marth's perspective, when you're getting messed up in a scrap or something, or your back is against the wall, a Marth will do one of two things. They'll either be like, I need a grab right now, or I need an F smash right now. And I think Kadoran is the type of Marth where he says, I need an F smash right now. And you can see that in his play where it's just like, I'm getting messed up. It's like, just let it go. Like, let it rip.
Let it rip, yes.
Yeah.
I love those Marths.
Yeah, I used to be I need a grab right now, Marth, right? It's like that. It's like when Puff needs a pound, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting messed up in the scrap. I need a big opening right now. It happens with every character. Falcon, Raptor Boost. Fox is a little different, like the up smash, like right, just like getting a big up smash or some kind of big opening. It's really common. That's like my biggest critique of him, and I think I've told him that before. Is like get more data for your openings and don't pull the trigger too early. Those are my thoughts on those two players.
Sage wisdom.
Wow.
I didn't realize Ben was so young, by the way, too. Like, because that was the first time I heard him. Also.
He's 18, right?
He's 18. Yeah.
Like super good guy, like just crazy player also. Like definitely with all the come up of the Sheiks recently, it's crazy to see.
Yeah, he's definitely like my player to watch. One thing I was kind of curious about, I think we've sort of talked about this before, maybe not on the show, but other people have. What do you feel about like selecting your opponent? I know that's kind of a thing that they've taken from like StarCraft events, and it's kind of a unique thing for the format. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it has its drawbacks for sure. Where this week in particular, both sides of the bracket were just like, well, Mango had all the Falcons and I had all the Foxes.
Exactly.
So we just both stomped on our respective matchups and then met each other, which is kind of badass. But I think it's cooler when I play Johnny in semis because there's some kind of like he's beat me twice recently, and there's definitely more of a rivalry there. And then whereas I'd like to see like Mango versus more Sheiks. Where we've seen Face Roll not play as much recently, or like Spark. I feel like I want to see that's. I feel like that's his like challenging matchup. That's not me right now. But right now it's just a lot of Falcons and Foxes.
Yeah, in defense of the format, who you play in semis is a little bit less. You can only really pick who you play in the first round. So like you could still get, for example, you could still get Johnny in the second round.
Yeah,
sure.
Seeding works out. But yeah, you kind of spoke to it from a competitor's perspective. I'll say from a spectator's perspective, the it's really cool when it leads to variety and like interesting, like I mean I like I get it. I used to watch StarCraft, or like even like in the early days of Overwatch, they would do that where teams would pick their opponent team and it kind of would leave like some like, oh, they're picking this team kind of thing. But I would draw the line from a spectator's perspective. I would draw the line at if it's hampering the variety, like if it's getting to where you kind of know what you're going to see. Like if we're literally watching Mango Wizrobe every week, and like I don't need to see Mango 3-0 Wizrobe again. That being said, not saying that he will. I mean, it would be cool to see Wizrobe, pull the upset one of these days. But yeah, if we're getting the same sets over and over and over because of it, then after a while I could see it getting a little bit stale for the viewers.
Yeah, but maybe that's why it being like 4 weeks is actually pretty good. Because if this went on for, like a LCS season, which is like months at a time, then yeah, it's going to get stale eventually. But maybe because it's so condensed, like the repetitiveness doesn't matter as much. And then I feel like there's also times where, I'm thinking about like times at Summit where Mango just like randomly picked Leffen that one time as his round 1 opponent. I don't know if that's like the mentality going into SCL, like if people want to win more or just like want to get the good matchups.
So actually, if to speak on that, my plan was when like if Axe got to D1 was to pick Axe, and it's easy for me to say this now, right? Like, but I promise you that was my plan. I know Jesus believes me. That's all that matters. Because I've been practicing that matchup a lot, and for me, SCL is more of it's online first of all, and then it's kind of an experimental type of event, right? So I wouldn't pick Axe at like if I had the option to do that, like a Genesis or Big House, right? But in this kind of experimental phase where there are 4 of them, and I really want to get better versus Axe and get that opportunity, I would definitely pick him first. Yeah.
For what it's worth, didn't Mango pick Leffen in like pool? Like it wasn't like in bracket.
It didn't.
Right?
It was pools, but like still,
wasn't the biggest deal.
I think like if you're a viewer though, and then you see like a top 5 player being like, all right, like give me that ass to another top 5 player, you're like, all right, like this is gonna be super cool, but
in like would Mango do that in a single elim bracket? That's the thing.
Scary.
I don't know.
Yeah. I did it versus Mango at the last SCL actually, and people
you did it right? Didn't you?
And people thought it was because Mango, like I thought that Mango was like gonna be busy or something. I had no idea, and who was on commentary that said like, "Oh, Zane knew." I forget, but I did that because I was down a set against Mango in SCL, and I was like, well, I mean, like let's just have grand finals in the first round. I think it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Damn.
I think it's cool too. I love that. I love that dynamic where you're like the winner of this set. Let's just agree between the two of us. Whoever wins between this set should go on and win the tournament.
What do you for Sam and Zeke? Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess it's I've seen a lot of the matchups that play out in D1 for a while now, and I think I share a lot of the same thoughts that maybe Toph had. In terms of, we'll see how this continues as the weeks go on, because I think if week 3 passes and then week 4 passes and it's Mango Wizzy, and then Zayn SFAT repeatedly. I might kind of just want to fast forward to fast finals. But I think it's still too early to tell, and I think the fact that they're trying to at least go out on a limb and like do things that haven't been done in previous tournament formats, I think that's really cool. And I think that at the very least it's single limb, so it's not like it's going to be the tail of the entire series. Yeah. It's like it's going to switch up at some point in time, and even if you don't get the variety in the D1 matches, you're probably going to get them in the D2 and relegation matches. So I think that as long as the structure maintains that way, where players are constantly swapping in and out of divisions and like getting relegated and then coming in from the like next highest echelon or whatever, I don't think it could ever be like too bad. I've actually been enjoying it a lot. I think it keeps it really like high stakes and fast moving. So I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with everything that has been said so far.
Fuck yeah.
One thing, I think because it's not double M though, it would be cool if it was double M, because then you have those hype matches that would actually happen early on, and then because of that, I think that shakes up the bracket a lot. So you can see your favorite player who might be like not always in the top 4 get to the top 4, and you see some matchups that might not happen often, but because of the format, it sounds like that probably won't happen that often. So I think that it's cool that they're experimenting, but it could run into some interesting storylines and mashups that you wouldn't expect week to week.
Yeah,
I will say.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I will say the biggest drawback of like strictly leaving Division 1 to be like the highest tier of matches and let it be the highest level of play. I think you get fewer of those like oh shit moments where like something super unexpected happens. Like I guess going back to like what Toph said, like if Wizzy makes the upset against Mango, that's like considerably big, but it's not nearly as big as like Kadoran beating Mango and stuff, like just the really wonky stuff like when Zayn beat Plup for the first time, or like I don't know, when something really outlandish happens. I think you're kind of limiting those opportunities, but when it's a weekly series, I mean they're gonna come up otherwhere. So
dude, that's why I love D2 so much though, because it's like
D2's great. I love D2.
D2 is a ton of that. Yeah. Dude, Plup got like relegated one week out of D2. That was crazy.
Yeah,
I fear D2. D2 has Hunger Box Plup. Dude, I'm not trying to go down there. If I listen to this, I think I play Plup. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not going down there. Like, what?
I can't go back. I'm not going back.
I'm not going back there.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like if you actually look at like the matches that happen in D2, like it's a doozy. It's a doozy for sure. I think there's D2 is actually one of my favorite parts of the week. Echoing what Sam just said, by the way, one good example to kind of back your point up that comes to mind would be like SJ IBDW, because like in a single limb bracket, you just tie for third and fourth place don't get to play, and like one of the big questions everyone has right now is like, okay, Johnny's been calling himself number 3 and all this stuff, and I think he called IBW Weenie Hut Jr. and all this stuff.
Oh, me Mr. number 2. He called me. I don't even care.
He did it after week 1. He did.
He did. To be fair, but I know he's just has like a shitting grin behind it. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Number 2," and I'm just like,
so?
"Yeah, 100%."
I see. I now that you say that, I guess I could see it.
Yeah.
I felt like it was more about. I kind of glossed over the Mango Zayn order because I just assumed it was based off of who won that week or whatever, and then I felt like the real thing he was trying to say was the number 3 thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then like we just haven't gotten to see Johnny versus Cody yet. People were saying we might get it this week.
We are. First round.
We are, or I guess.
Yeah, that's a crazy set.
Yeah.
First round. Who picked who? Johnny. Cody.
I don't think I think Johnny didn't have a choice.
I think it's just 1 and 2 get their picks, and then it's just they seed off. But
the first SCL, I remember when they they had us pick on the call, which sucked because after you lose, you're like, I don't want to be here. But they had everyone there, and then it was me. It was Mega who won. I got second. None and Cody tied for third and fourth, right? So Mega picked. I picked. Then they're like, okay, Cody will pick third, and Cody picked HBox, and they're like, okay, we're done. And None was like, why did I even come on this call? He's like, what the hell just happened? And so they just like randomly allotted him, right, the last pick. So I don't know what they do now, actually.
Dude, man, yeah, because like the way you would solve it is if you didn't want to have to use like arbitrary seeding, not arbitrary, but you know what I mean, is you would make third and fourth place actually play for third and fourth, which to be fair, some single elim formats do. Like it's pretty common in some other sports and other games. But it might feel a little weird, and I feel like, you know, your heart might not be as much in it. I mean, you could do something like you pay third place a little more, like you have like a concrete third place prize or whatever, and then third place gets to pick. But yeah, I don't know. It would feel a little strange, I suppose. That is one way they could do it, like kind of resolve the how do you decide who gets to pick third versus fourth. But not saying they should, but it's a thought.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I'm kind of curious about, because I know, at least in like the StarCraft formats, they'll have kind of full-on group settings where they'll be picking someone and it leads to this crazy bracket of death or whatever. And I think what that serves a lot is like contributing to kind of storylines and narratives. And I feel like doesn't feel like it's doing that as much. Like it feels like there's a bit of a storyline gap, especially in Division 1. Maybe this is just me, but like for better or for worse, SCL Division 1 has felt very much like the Mango Zane show. And it'd be cool. This, like, I don't know if it's contributing to that or helping that or you know, going against it. Like, what do you guys think? Is there something they need to do to kind of spice up some of the narratives that aren't who's going to win, Mango or Zane?
I can kind of comment on that really quick and then let you guys take it, because in agreement with you, Radar, because the recap videos that I've been doing, I fucking hate them. First off, I think they're awful, but just make them anyway.
It's a classical
but like
line.
I've realized in these two that I've made, I'm like, I'm not really like saying anything crazy. Like I'm literally just saying who won from set to set, and it doesn't feel like I feel like the story isn't there. Like is where I agree with you, Radar. It's kind of like the matches are happening, yeah, like that's the reason why I think I'm really invested in D2 when it comes to this week, because there's so much movement to and from every week, where like it's hard to predict what's going to happen. You have to kind of keep up with other events to know who's making it in from the open qualifiers, and that's where like some of kind of the story comes from, for me at least. But it's not to say I'm not interested in the event. I think the event's incredible, but it does get kind of weird for me to like figure out from a writing side where I'm gonna make this more interesting to a viewer.
Yeah, I think that's like inherently difficult with the format. Excuse me, where it's like you have whoever wins the tournament, and then you have whoever gets relegated, right? And then everything in between there is just this gray mass, this like amalgam of like, okay, well, why do I care if none of this really affects the next week or like the current viewing experience, right? So like with the beauty of a double lib bracket is like if someone goes to losers bracket, okay, they have this crazy losers bracket run, that's a story all on its own. But then if you lose round 1 of Division 1, you're just like, that's it, that's the end of my tournament run. The next person moves on to play the next person. That's like their own individual story. So if you're not like super if you don't care a lot about, you're not rooting for someone specific to win the tournament, then you're not rooting for someone specifically to either get relegated or get promoted, then it feels like there's a lot of, I'm watching this because it's on the screen and not because like I care, if that makes a lot of sense, which I think StarCraft, to echo what Radar said, it does like a really, really good job of that. And it might be like some sort of thing to do with the players who have been playing StarCraft have been playing for like 20 years, whereas all the kind of new up-and-comers are finding their way into D2 and Melee. So maybe it's a little easier to come up with those kind of narratives on their own, but I think that's just like an inherent flaw with the format. But you know, I think there's not a lot you could do with that if you're a TO for SEL, unfortunately.
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear you put it that way, because I've always felt like the stakes are very high for a lot of these matches, especially like D2 relegation, for example.
Yeah.
I've always felt like the stakes, because like, you know, if you're out, you're out. You're not only are you out, you might not even get to compete the following week.
Yep.
I always felt like, for me, I felt like the matches that had the highest stakes, like this is an observation I made in the first season of SCL. I felt like the matches that the highest stakes were like the Division 1 matches where the winner could feasibly win the week. And on the flip side of things, the Division 2 relegation matches where the losers are fighting for their life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I the way I tried to look at it, because like when I was trying to like think about narratives on commentary and stuff, was I would try to tell the story of, for the Division 2 players, like what their, like how they got there, like what their open bracket run looked like. You know, how much for some weeks it'd be like more old school players like Shrooms. It's like, okay, Shroomed has kind of been grinding and he's you know, fighting his way through the open bracket and stuff like that. And I think we have some of that this time around with like Plup, who has played in the open bracket 2 weeks in a row, which is kind of fascinating. and Nun's down there, Axe is down there, Hbox is down there. So I've especially felt like for like some of these Division 2 matches where like some of these people or Gatsu's rise, people talking about Gatsu being overshadowed by the other Falcons. I'm actually surprised to hear you say that, because I actually feel like there actually are a fair bit of storylines going on.
Well, I guess that was more what I was trying to say, was that like you have the winner of the D1 bracket, and then you have the people who are relegated to play in the open qualifiers again. But then everything that's not those, like if you win,
I see.
yeah, yeah,
like
that's
Division
more so.
1 relegation to swap between
Yes,
Division
exactly.
1. Sure, yeah. I could see that. I could see that. I could see that.
Do you think this is because there's like feels like there's a clear two? Like if the top 5 were like kind of close or taking matches off each other, do you think that'd be more interesting, this format?
That's such a hard question to answer, I think, because it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like having 2 for like narratively, like if you look at the lore of this game, is like already a really cool kind of like story to follow right now. And like, I mean, Zane, like feel free to comment on this. Obviously, you're one of the 2, so it's like, but like having like Zane Mango be like those 2 like, unstoppable force meets a movable object type deal, like really makes for interesting again, narratives is the word I'm going to use. I think this actually, it's a really cool question that does lend itself well to kind of our main topic of like visibility and marketing in Melee, because to me, like having a story like that, if I'm a new person to the game, I'm like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Like I wonder if there is a 3rd, 4th, 5th person who can kind of break through and shatter these expectations of, these are clearly the best 2 players in the game right now, and they're the only ones competing for number 1.
Yeah, I really like the 2 storyline, and I know it's obviously I'm biased because I'm a part of it. But,
Oh, you do?
yeah, I love it. But well, I think the thing is we're not untouchable, right? Like we have Cody, who's like seriously on the cusp. Like he's taken us both game 5. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I've lost to Johnny. I haven't beaten Axe yet. Mango can randomly just like get fucked. Like it just happens. So there's that. But yeah, I guess for the most part, I really enjoy it. And I think it also like the best part about it is the way that we play in game, Mango and I, because I think comparatively to like previous grand finals, I mean, like Hungrybox Armada sets, it's just like drastically different meta wise and gameplay wise. And whereas like Mango and I are entering scraps more often, it's faster paced, and I think it's just healthier for the game in general. And then I've talked about this with Mango before, but that kind of standard at the grand finals level trickles down to the rest of the bracket, which I think is really good for the longevity and health of the game.
I feel like go ahead, Raider.
What I was gonna say is just I think it's weird for me because I feel like Melee, from a purely gameplay perspective, quality of the match perspective, is constantly exceeding its peak. It's the best it's ever been. It's great. Like a Mango Zane grand finals is going to be like really, really entertaining. It feels like the problem we have, and I don't know if it's like us just not constructing a narrative properly or not, but like it feels like we are still weaker narratively speaking than the 5 gods narrative. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like we don't have that same like these 5 people beat the 5 other people.
Respectfully, I've actually thought about this. Respectfully, I think the reason for this is literally that we don't have Scar yelling about the 2 gods.
Actually true. Yeah, I actually completely agree with that.
Scar would go on commentary and rant about the 5 gods for a long time, and in front of tens of thousands of viewers, and we don't have anyone doing that right now. Maybe I should do it, but I don't feel like I can be that guy because it's I don't know. I've always been in our duo. I've always been the guy that is paying close attention to the scene, and I know who top 25 players are. And then Bobby's the guy that we're commentating Face Roll versus IBDW at Genesis 7, and he didn't know who either of those players were. So like, Bobby's the guy that's like constructing he's like the marketing genius that's constructing the outward narrative from like the very top level of play. And I don't feel like I can do both. Like, it's like, I've realized that maybe I should find a way to step it up and do it, but but it is a skill, and I don't think that I've really acquired it yet because yeah, I mean, Bobby was the guy that really pushed that in the the Skarntov show and on commentary for a lot of the Five Gods era and stuff like that, and it just helps that we had the really big tournament streams like Evo and stuff like that. That I think it's just honestly, I think a lot of this is just the product of the COVID era. It is just harder to have big opportunities for people to for commentators and people to build those sorts of narratives in the first place. The fact that I didn't even know what Ben looked like until last SCL week. I was like, okay, that's what he looks like. Like, I just think that seeing someone on a player cam and seeing them walk around a tournament venue and seeing them move in between the matches of the games, I just feel like it's so much easier to build connections with these players in your mind. And this is why I think that you guys would probably agree if you see a guy like Axe in D2 or a guy like Hungrybox in D2 or a guy like Plup in D2, just you feel like you're a little bit more attuned to like what might happen in their sets versus like maybe an Akla versus Ben type of set or something. Nothing against those players. It's just that they're newer, and so we don't have that level of narrative expectation for them. But I do think ultimately it's up to me and people like me to sort of construct that, because someone's got to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because I think we actually talked about this in our first episode of the Mixup with you, Toph, where like Melee and like esports in general, I think is like this like circle of life type ecosystem where it's like everyone knows who's in the game, that the stories exist and there's narratives out there and there are reasons to be interested in Melee just as a whole, but it needs people to tell the stories, obviously, or else it's just kind of falling on deaf ears, and then we kind of lose out on that that group of people at the very top, like the broadest spectrum of people who can get interested into the game and kind of like really sink their teeth in deep from that point.
The top of funnel. The top of funnel.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get at later.
Yeah. I think it's now as good as time as ever to kind of segue into what we want our main topic to be, which is this idea of the kind of Melee marketing problem. To quickly preface this, if people are Toph fans, he's already done an episode with Atrioc, but basically about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I'm gonna pull the tweet up also from it's from Monte Cristo. Oh yeah, so basically Proxy
Wolf, but yeah,
it's the original tweet. He replied being like, oh yeah, I thought that Melee, ever since Melee has been on the decline and like other 1v1 esports have been on the decline, it's it's been kind of a bummer or whatever. And Toph replied being like, Melee is on the decline, like question mark, and he was sort of like, yeah, that was what I was. Go ahead.
Funny sidebar here, by the way. I was actually talking to Hotbit at the time, coincidentally, when I saw that tweet. And Hotbit. Hotbit works at Beyond the Summit. Really long time esports veteran, obviously. Well, Zeke, you might know him from your days at Team Liquid. I don't know if you guys worked there at the same time, but he's Beyond the Summit now. And I actually showed that tweet to Hotbit, and Hotbit actually laughed it off. He was like, "Lol, really? Proxywolf doesn't know what he's talking about." Yeah, he was just like, I don't think Melee's in decline at all. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't think it's on decline, I'm not that worried ultimately. But from my perspective, I feel like there must be some gap. Like if some people in the esports industry think that Melee is on a decline, that means there's probably eyeballs that we're not ensnaring, that we could be.
Yeah.
And I've been like a little bit conscious since then to be like, I'm trying to tweet about it more. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm tweeting a lot. Every time SCL's on, I've been like live tweeting it and like, oh my God, like that thing that just happened. I've been posting clips from it, which I do think helps a lot. I mean, I don't know. I'll see like pastry time and people like that, like on like my clips and stuff like that, and be like, so I'm really trying to do a better job promoting what we do have when the events are around. And I mean, I do kind of not want to obsess about it too much because like I really do think it's an artifact of the COVID era. And like if you think Melee's on the decline, like bro, like I used to watch Overwatch and like that game.
Hey, they lost Jeff, man. Don't drag them down. They're already.
Yeah, Radar's a big Overwatch player, I'm pretty sure. So you're stepping on some toes here with this comment.
Went from Twitch to YouTube. I mean, I was a big Overwatch player. I remember I met all of the Seoul Dynasty players and I was so excited. I got Rujang to sign my fucking jersey and stuff like this. But it was I think a lot of games got hit really fucking hard by COVID, even the ones that were always played on computers. So like I mean, it's not all. I guess what I'm saying is it's not all gloom and doom.
Yeah, I think so.
My
There's a message in the
perspective.
chat
But we
that
could
I
all
think
do a
is
better job. We could all do a better job.
like pretty relevant here, where it was Ventus official said, I think it's or I don't feel like it's on the decline, but I feel like it could be so much more. That's kind of where I'm at too, where I feel like the potential ceiling is really, really high now, more than ever, especially. And that's the reason why we wanted to talk specifically to you guys, because in my opinion, I think Golden Guardians as just an organization is Melee specifically is just far and away crushing it, like absolutely killing the game in terms of not literally killing the game in a good way, of how to kind of make Melee appealing for a broad audience and make Melee sexy, I guess, is kind of where I'm getting at. And this is like kind of direct god damn it, this is kind of like directed towards you, Sam, because I know you were kind of the head up behind the GGMelee channel, and of course that's kind of where a lot of the beginning of this marketing discussion lives, I think, when it comes to Golden Guardians. So I'm kind of interested in hearing what you have to say about, is there a problem with the marketing? Are there steps that the Guardians are taking to fix it, and kind of, where do we go from here to keep raising that ceiling even higher?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a big topic that is a bit over my head too, but I can definitely talk on what I know and what I've experienced. First thing I want to say is, like, when I saw, because to actually educate myself on the Melee scene, I watch like Toast videos, and they're really helpful because they kind of touch on those specific things that I'm like, it's not talking about the mechanics of the game necessarily, but it's like talking about the big concepts that like I don't understand as a new fan of Melee, right? And actually with that Proxy Wolf tweet, it reminded me, like, when have I heard of Melee? And I am definitely like a person that's engrossed in the esports. I used to be an engineer. I wanted to get into esports. I grinded my way into esports, and I got a job, right? 2 years ago. So then with all of that, I'm just like, and my game is League of Legends. That's what I've been following since season 1. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't heard about Melee. Melee is that couch party game that people get like really good at, but like, you play it in the college dorms and that kind of stuff. And I had no idea what kind of scene is there. So even like, it's out of my sight and out of my mind for, I don't know, the past decade, which is actually kind of crazy. And then when I see these documentaries and all these like the Apex 2015 video that you did, Walt, and then like,
thank you.
I'm going through the yeah, it was really great. You guys should go check it out.
Let me just flip my hair.
I'm still going through the famous Smash documentary. I'm just like, how did this sneak by me without me knowing it, right? And then I started playing it. I downloaded NetPlay or Slippy or whatever, and going through it, which there's a lot of resources to it, but it still is kind of tricky. And I could see a lot of my college buddies, if they wanted to pick it up, the easiest way they're going to do it is just go play Ultimate. That's just the way they're going to do it.
No.
And that's a totally different
he said no.
totally different beast.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So like it's curious to me that how Melee is under the radar when it has such a really strong community. And that's what I've learned with doing the channel. Like our first videos, the engagement like ratio is just absolutely absurd. Like I think I saw we hit like 1,000 likes without a single dislike on a video. I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from? Who are these people? And then I tweeted out like, I played Melee and I'm addicted, and it was 2 hours of Melee or something. My thumbs hurt, and I'm like, why does this have 1,000 likes? Like, and all these likes.
Hey, you're one of us now.
Yeah, welcome.
It was so weird. I'm like, who's retweeting? I'm like, is Zane or like Toph retweeting this? I'm like, no, there's like no verified check marks next to anyone retweeting. And I'm like, what is going on? And the community is just like that crazy and rabid about Melee, which is like super, super cool. But like, yeah. So me, a person that loved playing like 64, Brawl, Melee, all those games, like somehow this didn't reach me, which like blows my mind. So then
that is interesting. And you're saying this even during the era where, like during the era where Melee was at Evo and the documentary era and stuff like that. Like that's really interesting to me. That's an interesting insight.
Yeah, and I think actually touching on that, I still see tweets. I see those clips that like the Toph Lake clips of people just posting highlights or sharing highlights from certain events, and then maybe I'll tune into a stream and like see what's going on. But still, like, I think the problem is that doesn't convert me somehow. I'm like, whoa, that was a crazy combo. I don't know what's going on. That was really flashy. Some commentators just like their heads being blown off by how loud they're yelling and all this stuff. I'm like, that's really cool. okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling and like forget about it. And I'm like doing like turn on a game of League and feel miserable about myself for the next 3 hours or something. You know? So I don't know what to do about that. You know, the algorithm with everything just serves us what we want to watch. And like, I think the doc did funnel a lot of people in. So I've been told. I think that's what I learned from that Atriarch and Toph conversation. But that's definitely the hardest thing. And I mean, right now, my job for Golden Guardians and with the GGMelee channel isn't necessary to figure out how to convert those people. But even when we planned out the content strategy, I'm like thinking about each content. If you haven't figured out, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday have different pieces of content. They're different series, and they all have different expectations or goals behind like who they're targeting and maybe like what views we're expecting from those. And that's because we're trying to hit like a big net while still like making sure we hit the core players that are gonna like love the content we're doing. They're gonna post anything that we put out that has like Nun's face on it or like Toe's face on it or whoever else because they like love those players. And then my job is to make sure that they get their value from that content. But then also like, how do we cast a bigger net and then touch other Melee communities that want to digest different types of content? And then from there, like if we can go past that, that's like a huge pool, right? That's when you get the people that hopefully like me were playing Melee in college, getting my ass handed to me by the one guy that knows how to wave dash in the room. And we're like, what is he doing? He's breaking the game. And then like get those people and be like, Melee's a thing? Oh, interesting. How do I get involved and go get my ass handed to me in like a unranked game by some like random Marth player or something? And then you slowly get addicted to it or very quickly get addicted to it. But that's definitely for me and my job and my goal. That's hard. And that's a big thing, and I don't think people have figured that out yet.
So funnily enough, as a quick anecdote, because you mentioned kind of like your engagements being like absurd, and I think that's just kind of like a thing with Melee. I want to say it was Ludwig who talked about it at one point with like the mango effect, I think he called it, where it's like streamers for Melee will have like 10 viewers but like 5,000 subs for some reason. And it's just like this weird dichotomy that like I still can't really figure out why that's a thing. But I think it starts with basically when you're in Melee, or once you get into Melee, you are basically in it for life is kind of the thing. It's like, all right, you know, welcome to the gang, sign here in blood, and you're going to be here for forever, you know. My opinion when it comes to kind of like casting a wider net, obviously the accessibility thing is, I think, the biggest factor when it comes to one, making successful content, and then two, making successful content that appeals to an audience and broadens that top of the funnel. And to me, that's a big reason why, and Radar, of course, feel free to, as another creator, you know, I'm interested in what you think about this, but I feel like that's the reason why channels like Awesome Sauce, for instance, are as successful as he is, because he makes content that is accessible to people who are really, really into Melee, and accessible to people who don't know jack shit about Melee, but it's still entertaining to all of them just the same, and easily digestible enough that people can be like, okay, I understand what's going on, and I'm interested enough to kind of get into this game, or at least continue consuming this content and contribute to kind of that ecosystem that I mentioned earlier in the show. But I mean, I'm interested in what you guys think about that.
Yeah, on the topic of casting a wider net to more people, I think one of the most interesting videos, Sam, that's been produced on the GGMelee channel recently is the sound effects one, right? And I think that's largely due to the nostalgia effect, which I'm sure you're definitely trying to capitalize on, right? Is the fact that like so many people have played this game on the GameCube when they were kids, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I remember these sounds, like Yoshi's like egg sounds or whatever, and they're like, wait, these guys are like pro players, like what, like how is that a thing? And from there they go down the rabbit hole, and I think leveraging that nostalgia, because so many people have played Smash as a party game, right? Like that nostalgia effect, and I think it's like that video is doing super well relative to everything else, right? Yeah, I think totally. I saw a couple comments too that were like, oh, I haven't played Melee since like high school, but I got like 6 out of 7 or something. So I think that's a really, really good way to widen that net.
I think one thing I wouldn't mind kind of pitching to you guys, get an idea of what you would say about this, is I think there's kind of two main potential audiences. One is the one that Zane is saying, which is I'm a person who is, I'm trying to think of the exact age you'd be roughly, where you've played Melee as a kid, or you played Smash games a lot, and you're trying to pitch them Melee to them as someone who's already played Melee. And then there's the second audience who are like, oh yeah, I'm like 16 and I've never heard of this game. And so I guess the question I have for really anyone in the call is, you're kind of tasked with showing someone like, here's why you should play Melee. Like you're doing the sales pitch, and how do you do that to the guy who played it growing up and to the person who's like, the only game I know is Fortnite kind of thing, who's 15 or whatever?
It's a good question.
You throw out the Ultimate Kid switches and then hand them a GameCube. That's probably the first.
I actually do want to. This is an idea I had. I think I even talked about this with Interact. I was kind of like, I actually do think a ton of people, like every new outlet I guess people have to like watch Melee is like a potential, like Ludwig stream, for example, LACS. That's one. Hungrybox stream. Probably most of those guys aren't coming from Melee. I don't think. I couldn't help but I could not help but notice. I read into way more people talking about the decline of floaties. I don't know if you guys know this. On Unranked, there are way more shitty puffs than there are shitty peaches or shitty Samuses. I think, unironically, I think there's like probably a fairly large contingent, or like, I don't know, just anecdotally, I feel like there's a contingent of puff players that are just HBox fans that are literally coming from the stream. Ultimate is one. I think the FGC is one. I had an idea I want to do an Ultimate versus FGC, you know, PogChamps where they get new players to play chess. I want to do like FGC people get coaches and Ultimate get coaches, and it leads to an Ultimate versus FGC crew battle in like a month or something. Something like that. Yeah, actually,
that was pretty much the exact idea I had, is get a popular gaming figure that doesn't know anything about Melee and like another popular figure, have someone coach them, and then like see where they go.
Radar, they do that actually, and Toph is casting something with that. It's a team combo, right? And I think that is like an insane concept that should have been done years ago, but it's like something like that is super cool, brings in brand new players. You can convert it into like I know like you and Atriox said, like a Twitch Rivals type format where you can get big personalities as like your apprentice or like mentees, if you will, and then have, you know, the big Melee personalities coaching them. And there you go. You have the crossover right there. You have the engagement right there. You have big names right there. I think that's an amazing concept that those guys are doing.
Yeah, that's like literally what I want to do. I think it would be amazing. I just feel like they're pretty wide, because like to me it's like, okay, you know, I don't know yet how we market to Fortnite kids, but I know how I would market to Ultimate players. I know how I would market to FGC people who especially like appreciate the value of rollback netcode. You know, there's like there's a wide assortment of, you know, gamers who are in spaces that are kind of maybe tangential to Melee that like I think we could totally do a better job of marketing to. And that's kind of where I'm at like right now. I mean, for me, like success to me, I don't think we need to be as big as Fortnite was in 2017. Like that, I don't think Melee needs to be that big. But you know, I just want to continue to get, and I think that, you know, for me, like what I think is really big is like, you know, I think a lot of Smashers have kind of clued onto the Ludwig YouTube meta. And even like Mango started doing daily uploads like less than a month ago. You know, PB's doing daily uploads. I'm doing mostly daily uploads. Zane, I think you're doing daily. I don't know. Yeah. So like, I feel like YouTube is already just a way better vehicle for like, we just get a couple more like of our content creators, like, you know, doing decently well on YouTube. Like if we grow, like that will just push the game big time. Look at like, what's the guy's name Ludwig was watching? It's that game Trackmania. Trackmania is that like racing game where you
Mm-hmm.
That guy's videos get fucking crazy views. I didn't know what the fuck Trackmania was, and then I just started like Ludwig was watching some Trackmania video that's like 1 million views, and I'm like, oh shit, this game looks dope. Like, I actually thought about getting it from this one guy's video. I wish I have a terrible. It sounds like one word, except it's like a word, and then they swap the beginning letter with something else. But anyway, that guy's videos were. I think Trackmania, you know, I wouldn't call it a tier 1 esport. I would say it's a relatively niche game, but like if we get someone on that level, I mean, maybe we need to do a better job leveraging people like Awesome Sauce. I don't know if you guys have seen Awesome Sauce's YouTube channel. He gets like upper 100,000s of views per video. He gets like, his YouTube videos do better than like, or maybe about the same now, but like a couple months ago, they were doing better than like Ludwig videos on average. So I'm kind of like
the difference though is the time to market. Like it takes Sauce 3 to 4 weeks to make
a lot of effort.
a video that is as produced as his, where I mean, again, no diss to Lud, but he can do like essentially a stream highlights that gets the same viewership every single day of the week.
Yeah. So for me, I definitely think we're positioning ourselves right. I do think there are a couple of things we could be doing better.
Are there collabs happening out like that? Are you guys people that have quote unquote high follower accounts or subscriber accounts going up to another high Twitter follower account?
Tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific when I will be playing Northern Lion, legendary
let's
Let's
go.
Player.
I love Northern Lion. That's
I love NL. Big NL fan.
Tomorrow 3 p.m. Me and Northern Lion. I'm gonna beat his ass just like I beat him in Overcooked at Twitch Rivals. And then he called me an esports athlete, which is the nicest thing. Called me that.
To follow up
I'll
that
take whatever
question,
I can
hey,
get. You know what Millie players say about me? They say I'm a washed-up commentator. Okay.
oh shit.
Northern Lion says I'm an esports athlete. Take that, YouTube frogs. To answer your question, yes.
I was gonna say, hey, welcome to the Mixup, a collaboration effort between washed up YouTubers turned down for Walton Radar. I think in terms of Melee, Sam, there are people who are doing it. Like I know when we did 5 days of Melee, I remember Alston Melee messaged in the server because we got like 200 people to kind of work on this huge project, and they were just like, if people don't like get connections and collaborate and do stuff from this, like we are just fucking up in some way, like really really bad. And I mean, he's completely right. And the thing was, like, I know Radar, you did a cameo on with Patty, like specifically for Alston Melee. We've been talking about like doing podcasts like mashups with like Melee Stats, for instance, Alston Melee, and it doesn't have to be limited to just like the Melee sphere. I think that there's just like a lot of opportunity for, you know, kind of the content creator gang to spread their wings, you know, and play Northern Lion in certain things. So
yeah, I think there's like a lot of angles and thoughts I feel like I have about this, and I think going back to this narrative idea, like I try to imagine me pitching Melee earlier, and I feel like the Five Gods narrative helped a lot. I think I'm just trying to imagine, like, you have someone like they're sitting there on the couch, they're watching SCL, and I'm thinking like, what are the kind of things I want to tell them? And one thing that comes up a bit, and this is why I'm really glad that BTS Smash exists and SCL exists, is like some level of centralization, for where to find it, where to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel right now, as someone who was really, really involved with StarCraft 2 years ago, and then now kind of just like occasionally watches, when I watch, I go watch like GSL. And that's like, I always know it's going to be good. I always know who the commentators are going to be. It's just consistently good. And I feel like Melee is kind of missing that a bit of like, oh, you want to watch Melee? Well, you know, there's this one tournament series, and I feel like SCL is doing a good job of at least filling that role. Looks like Toph wants to say something, or
no, the one thing I was gonna say was I had this exact conversation with Scar, and he said the same thing you did, and I think right now de facto we've got VG Bootcamp and we've got BTS Smash, and those are like the two big Smash channels, and. But yeah, it's like, I don't think people think about it the same way, right? Like with the LCS, it's like you want to watch the LCS, like you want to watch League, you know where to go to watch the LCS. You know, every big esport, you know where to go if you want to. So like, I mean, I don't know what that looks like for Melee. I really liked the idea that we had Fizzy on the Scar Toph show, and we're saying to Fizzy, like, I think that's something he already kind of plans on doing, is like, he wants to put information for tournaments in the Slippy launcher. That would help.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, that would help, I think. Because like, this is what's going on this weekend, you know, kind of thing, or whatever.
That's good to hear, because I know we interviewed him a while back, and he was very hesitant to make changes to the client in general, just as a way, like every change he makes that's not vanilla Melee, I think he kind of viewed as like ammunition for Nintendo to be like, what's this, man? What's this?
Yeah.
You know, but we're losing so much if you go into like a BattleNet thing and you open up the exactly like what's new in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Are you guys hearing it? Was that an echo?
Wait, what just happened?
I heard it like once. I heard like the tiniest echo. It's gone now.
Were we all good? Sorry, I had to step out for a second.
Oh, we did it.
The thing got unmuted for me. Anyway. What were we saying?
Putting kind of information on the client.
It does suck that we feel like we have to tiptoe around Nintendo. Like it feels sucky that we're like, if we go a step too far in marketing our scene, like we might incur the wrath of Nintendo. But
so if that makes me so mad because I've said like the amount of like possibilities that I think we could have if we could just like openly mod the game or do anything like that. Nintendo usually would just kind of, you know, Papa N would just be like, no, that's not okay. Is crazy. Like, I know actually you guys Golden Guardians recently interacted with a friend of mine, Vancity Primal, who does insane skins and like recolors and like rebrands of all the characters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like the possibilities for that to make like marketable downloadable content, for instance, where you could just be like, oh, you can get this like custom made Genesis themed Pokemon Stadium where like the Genesis logo is in the middle of the stage instead of the Pokeball or something like that. Or like have your, you know, team like Golden Guardians Marth skins or something like that is really, really insane. And then you could throw in like, if you really wanted to get crazy, microtransactions and stuff like that. But obviously none of that would ever fly with Nintendo. So it makes me really mad is basically the TLDR for all that.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a world in the future where like, I mean, it feels like the culture around this sort of stuff changes. It's like advancing every year. I wonder if there's a world in the future where we have an ability to talk to Nintendo and work something out with them. I mean, right now it feels impossible, but I don't know. I look at like companies like Capcom and how their stance on this sort of thing has shifted pretty rapidly, I would say, from like the Third Strike whatever era to like how much more like Yoshinori Ono was appearing at tournaments and stuff like that in the Street Fighter 4 era. I mean, they've had some setbacks too with like that one guy fixed the Street Fighter 5 lag problems and then they like, you know, like kind of I don't know. I think they patched it out and they C&D. I don't know if they C&D'd that dude or what the deal was, but I remember people were really up in arms at Capcom for doing that. But it feels like every year, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Like I should just rip the Band-Aid off. I do have some friends at Nintendo. I've never really attempted to talk about them or talk about this sort of thing with them. The vibe I get right now, to be perfectly honest, is like, you know, I think that they're good people and they want to look the other way. They don't want to, you know, go after Melee or whatever, but like, then it just turns into this dance we have right now where it's like we just don't want to give them reasons to, which does kind of suck. It'd be cool if there was something that could change in the future. I don't know.
I still feel as long as they're not interfering, like I think every time someone brings up Nintendo, it's like 100% valid. No one in the call is going to be like, I mean, is Nintendo really a problem? Like, of course they are, but I feel like that's like truly the kind of bottleneck on stuff. They are, but like there are other things I think we can kind of break into, and I feel like the shift from pre-doc post-doc is proof of that. Like Nintendo wasn't out here, you know, promoting the documentary or something, and it still went really well. Like still brought in a bunch of new players. So I just often think about like what from whether it's a content perspective or like, yeah, just what are we not showing off? Because I don't think it's a game problem. I think the game looks cool. You know, maybe it's just people playing it. I'm personally, I'm personally not someone who follows esports that I don't play, and I wonder if that's a big part of it. Just like it not being a readily accessible game in the minds of the average person.
I mean, I don't know if a 14-year-old is able to figure out how to download it on the computer, and then also convince their parents that it's not a virus or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have a PC or just like a school laptop or something. Like it did feel difficult. Even like it took me so long to get a GameCube controller. I'm like, okay, I see all these GameCube controllers for like $15, but I know like you want a real one, but they don't make new GameCube controllers. So then I have to dish out like $60 for the one on Amazon that comes from Japan or whatever. Then people are like, oh, go on eBay. I'm like, okay, I'm on eBay, but I use Amazon all the time. And I'm like, there's a whole bunch of $15 controllers on eBay. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do. And then I got like decision fatigue and didn't buy it until finally I'm like, okay, this needs to happen. And then, you know, I did not spend 4 hours of my morning at work trying to install Uncle Punch and all these other things, obviously outside of work. It was tricky. And I find myself as like I'm a somewhat of a tech person. I know how to navigate my way around a computer. So how is a 14-year-old, 16-year-old, 21-year-old that like just played it on a GameCube in college that's not well versed in PC gaming or having a PC gonna figure that out? It's definitely intimidating, even though it seems easy for us, whoever us are.
I think it's
I don't know. I feel like for me, you cut out the middleman with all that stuff by like you go to a local and the TVs and the setups are all there for you, right? You don't need anything. You just bring a controller and a body, and even then, you just bring your body. Someone will have a controller for you, and it's like, I remember the first time that I actually talked to Zane when we were doing like the whole Melee announcements. We were supposed to talk about like the script that we were writing or some shit like that, and we ended up just talking about like how we both got into Melee like during college, and like it wasn't introduced. Like I didn't go out looking for Melee; it was like introduced to me. My friends were like, "Oh, we're going to a weekly. Do you want to come?" And like we'll have a controller for you and all this stuff, you know. And then all of a sudden, the camaraderie. I never had the ambition to like make esports my life. I was just there because my friends were there, you know. So I don't know. I think that with weeklies kind of dying, which I think it started when NetPlay was first coming to the scene in like 2017, and everyone was like, "This is gonna kill local gameplay. Weeklies aren't gonna be. They're gonna be a thing of the past," you know, which is kind of crazy to think about now. But I don't know. I think that it goes back to what everyone was saying. The game's amazing, and people are gonna want to watch high level Melee, which we have plenty of, you know. But it's like, how are we gonna get new people in? And I think that's somewhere along the way, like competition kind of took the reins away from like the community and the camaraderie, if that makes sense, you know. Like I think there was a lot more people that were playing the game and that were like in the community with no ambitions to like play it and be the best that they could be. They did it because they were like, I'm gonna go to my weekly and I'm gonna be the O2 guy, and everyone knows me as the O2 guy, and they welcome me just the same as the guy who farms the weekly every week, you know. And I think that's like, it's great, you know. And I feel like with everything shifting towards more like top level gameplay, this person's the best in the world, and if you're not the best in the world, and like online play, someone will quit out on you if you're bad. Like if you're bad, you know, like no one's gonna give the new guys the shot. So I think we as a community need to do more to like be more open to like letting new people in.
Dude, I had a Luigi player quit out on me. I play fucking Mario. Like what? I was like, dude, like I thought we had something here, man. What the fuck is that? It's like,
Kids always quit out of me, and then they go on Twitter. They're like, "Why do people quit out of me?" I'm like, "You're quitting out." All the Luigi's always quit out of me. I don't get it. You had them like twice, and they quit out.
There's always like a narcissistic narrative behind it too, where it's like, oh my god, this guy quit out on me because I'm so fucking good at the game. Yeah, he's so afraid of me. Like I can't believe he's so fearful of just my pure raw talent at Super Smash Brothers.
Dude, just going back to your point about like, you know, locals and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if I'm looking at this from a different perspective. I feel like, because like, dude, when I started the brawler when like locals were like 8 to 9 people or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really felt like the game was gonna die. Like,
yeah.
You guys were down bad then.
We were down bad. We were down bad in 2008. So like, I guess I will always. Maybe it's just the product of like when I started, but like I will always kind of have hope for the game because like I remember when we made like we were really fucking hurting in 2008. Like nobody was fucking playing that game, and yeah, I mean, I just like we're doing like I don't even really know. Do we have actual evidence that like we have a problem with new people? Like I feel like when I go on unranked and shit, I feel like there's a lot of new players. So like I'm not completely convinced that we even really have a.
So I would think that the issue comes in if you look at viewership numbers. Like SCL viewership right now is peaking at like 10K right now, which is like abhorrently low compared to what we get at like a IRL major, in my opinion.
But Summit 10, Summit 10 was 50K peak, right? 50.
So that's better, yeah, for sure. So I feel like that's kind of like a good benchmark to start at, though.
Also, SCL is peaking at like 15, 20K, not 10K.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I saw D2 was at 10K when I was watching.
It's still it's still lower on average. Like people obviously tune in towards the end of the bracket, but
Summit 10 was fine. Summit 10 was like the same as it was like close to Summit 9.
I think, yeah, like it's probably important to stress that I don't think we're actually at risk of dying or anything. I kind of agree with Toe sentiment that and Hotbits that Wolf was wrong, but I also think that like
we could be doing better. Yeah,
we could be doing better, and it feels like we have like this big potential, especially because like not to drag other games down, and I think no one's listed a game that I think is bad, but some games that are pretty popular like don't seem like that good, I guess. Like being this, like I don't know. There's some popular esports where I'm like, I don't get it, man. Like I really don't.
There's also like just a unique element, like when events are online nowadays too, in that there's not many other esports out there, I think, where you can individually get player POV for an entire event. Like I know that yes, but like I know like and Sam, you can comment on this because you've been watching leagues for a long time. I know like LCS, I don't know if they still do this anymore, but they used to do like POV top lane, for instance, where if you watched main show, you could see like Dyrus and Otoame or whatever like face off top, and then specifically see their matchup, their item builds, whatever they're doing. And that's like from, I guess, like a content perspective in me, like the content person in me is really interested in something like that because that's just free. Like you can just do that regardless, and there's no downside to adding something like that as long as, you know, whatever company has bandwidth to, you know, perform something like that. And players obviously can just stream their runs during SCL or whatever tournament it is, adds to the overall number. So yeah, like Toph, what you were saying, maybe like 25K for last week's SCL, but then you also add in every individual player's viewer count, and then maybe that bumps it up to more of what we'd expect to see from like a IRL, like Big House, Genesis, what have you. So
yeah, that's fair.
Zeke, I have a question for you. When you were talking about like you got brought on by friends to go play in your locals, did you see locals grow and like everyone bringing their friends?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm speaking from like a very privileged point of view. I started playing like immediately after the doc came out. Like we were playing Brawl a lot of the time, and like it was like either senior in high school or freshman in college, and all my friends and I would play Brawl, and we do like try hard casual where it'd be like, oh, it'd be FD, but there'd be free for all 4 players, so we like no items, that kind of thing. But one of my friends was like, oh, they have a Smash Brothers documentary on like competitive, you know. And so when I was going to locals, week after week the number was like getting bigger, and I would like tell my friends about it, and then we had a couple other friends who would come for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then they eventually dropped off. But it was very word of mouth, and I think this was right before like the big explosion and all that stuff that we were kind of used to. And I think it was because maybe from like the era when Toph started playing, that people were so used to having like 10 man locals max, you know, that you're just fuck it, anyone like come play, please come play this game. So everyone's like super, oh, I'm willing to teach you this and that, and like it doesn't matter if you're going 0-2, if you're getting farmed by the number 1 guy, like if you're getting forced that game after game, like you'll get better, just come back next week, you'll get better. And I don't know, I feel like if you look at brackets now, even for like the Xanadu weeklies, I feel like you're going to see the same names every single week because there's not new players that are like, oh, I want to try playing the game, because there's no incentive for me to like, no one's going to teach me the game, I have to do it all on my own, you know. So
wasn't it even kind of like that back in like 2016 though? I feel like I don't know, man, like in NorCal, like the golden era of NorCal locals was like the Foundry, and
yeah
after Foundry died, like, and that was just a total mismanagement kind of problem. But after that, I feel like region to region, like I feel like this isn't exactly a new problem. Like the reason everyone went to the Foundry was because it was a sick ass venue and there was alcohol.
Yeah.
And we have not had, I think we got spoiled, and then I think no one wanted to go to locals after that because they're like, the venue's not as good as the Foundry. It's gonna be hot and sticky, it's smaller, and there's no alcohol, so I'm not gonna go. And then NorCal locals sucked for like a couple years. They've sucked since I think 2016 or something. I feel like Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't even feel like that's a new problem, and I feel like it's not even a product of like the culture. At least speaking from my region, I don't think it's a product of the culture. I think it's a product of literally the venues that are available. Everyone I talked to was like, if there was a better venue, we would go.
Well, so okay, I mean, so Toph, you've been around, you've been through it, you know, you've been in the down bad era and then in the coming up era and everything. But I mean, like, so Zane,
All the down
and
bad,
like
and we didn't
you
even have
came
that
into the
grade.
scene later, right? So it's like, what was it like for you when you were kind of, you know,
Good
even
question.
just like day one and then come up and, you know, like going through the motions of becoming a top player?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's all about the revitalization of the college scene. And I don't know where that stands right now. Obviously, COVID didn't help, but even before COVID, I felt like it was dwindling
Slippy
a little
Collegiate
bit.
League, man, is a thing, by the way.
Right? They've rated me a couple of times actually. That's super dope that they're doing that. Because for me, the Melee games was like a big staple of my college career, and like having the camaraderie with your specific friend group and playing against other colleges within Virginia. Then even at Shine, we played against like Florida and stuff. It was so sick. But for me, I started in high school. I heard about it. Then I watched the doc, and after that, I didn't really do much with it. I went to a couple Clarendons in Northern Virginia over the summer. But then once I went to Virginia Tech, I was like, I'm gonna branch out and like find a different. I'm gonna join like an intramural soccer league. I'm gonna
A soccer
be
league,
something,
but
man.
for gamers. Like, do you
Yeah,
have
I was
something
gonna
like
be,
that.
yeah, something like that. I was gonna be something. I was like, I'll join the ping pong club. I'll join the chess club. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to branch out. This is college, expand my horizons. And then I saw a listing for VT Smash, and I was like, oh no, because I'd already had a taste, and I brought my controller. I was like, just in case, I'll bring my controller just in case. And I saw that, and I go to the first meeting, and it's just so many people that I'm vibing, like it just like so many different people, and a lot of my lifetime like best friends today were at that meeting, which I think is so sick. And the best part about Smash is like the social aspect of it, right? And something that's been missing in this pandemic is like you just play on unranked and then someone gets mad behind a keyboard and you never get to see what happens. Yeah, it's pretty sad. And that's why I always encourage people, like, try to Discord people while you play. Like, try to emulate that sense of a fest, because that's really what Melee has going for it all throughout college, is like just playing on the same couch, developing friendships. And even like my friends who don't play today, I still hang out with. And it's like my favorite part about the game is those relationships forged. And that, like, if there's a way to permeate that, even I don't know how you do that, and like not just the college scene, but getting it towards many different avenues, because Melee, it's already set, right? It's the type of game where you have to play in person, you have to socialize. It's just like that. But for me, what was even the original question? I can't even remember. I just went on this rant about how much I love.
It was like
Melee.
you started, you know, and I think you nailed it. What was the vibe like for
Yeah, it was,
characters and stuff like that?
yeah, it was just super super social. And like, I mean, I didn't do anything else in college, right? I don't regret anything. I didn't feel like I needed to, because I didn't go to parties on the weekends. I went to Smash Fests, and like yeah, just like no regrets there.
With Smashers. That's what
that came later. Right? Yeah.
Right. That's what I did.
And then in terms of like the path to becoming a top player through that, for me, it was like you start at college scene. I'm like, okay, I'm getting better. It's kind of this like blueprint that's laid out for you. Like, you have rankings in your college, and I think rankings are really important because it gives you this like stepping stone goals to work towards. Like, all right, I'm becoming better in my college. Okay, all of a sudden I'm the best here. Holy moly. All right, let me move on to like the state, my region. And it's very like this gradual process that makes sense. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm beating better players in my region. And then like, let me go to nationals. And yeah.
G-Sub just said you were blacking out on the brunettes while Zane was mastering the blade.
It's true.
I think so. I think kind of that does matter though, because when we talk about this kind of top of the marketing funnel and like getting more people interested in the game, I think and Zane, case in point for you, you know, being where you are, like at basically the top of the scene right now. I think new people that get into the game, you know, like not a lot of people will be like, yeah, I want to get into Melee and be very average at the game. Like most people's mental is like, I want to get into Melee because I want to be the best, or like I want to be, you know, a top player, or like be able to have these cool matches and stuff. No one's like, yeah, I just want to play. And you know, at least I think if competition is kind of your main focus, like as someone who's getting interested in Melee, so to me, kind of one of the pillars of where we get more people involved starts with, you know, the players and the scene members contributing in that way. I don't know if there's better ways for us to do that, to kind of pull more people in. Maybe it's content is the answer, and that's just the long and short of it, but
yeah,
I'm not sure.
One of my sister, I was talking about this with my sister recently, and she comes up with a bunch of great ideas that I just would never think of. She's like, once pandemic starts to ease a little bit and like locals start reopening, is like doing a road trip, like a popular player doing a road trip across every prominent local scene from coast to coast, and then just like visiting what's unique about the scene there, like going to restaurants, hanging out. What do you do outside of Melee? Because that's really what's appealing, for people to see that camaraderie. And then you go to the actual tournament, right?
Real
and
life
like
people too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get one of those IRL streaming backpacks from Gunrun. I'm gonna IRL stream it.
I think actually to that point, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember who did it, but there was a.
We'll get you
yeah, let's do it.
Oh, I think there was a video where it was like Plup or someone played, like he went to New York and played against like the 5 boroughs of New York in like a crew battle.
That was cool.
But like that's what it makes me think
yeah.
of, like and stuff like that, where you're really like getting out there and interacting with other people. That's like obviously a really great way to, you know, collaborate, like back to Sam's original point. But
someone in Japanese Street Fighter did this. I think it was either Momochi. I think it was Momochi with Shinobiism. I think it was Momochi, or no. Sorry, it was not Momochi's doing his own thing with Shinobiism, but Bonchan did almost exactly this. I think he did this thing where he was traveling around and playing all these people, and I saw he was taking these photos where it became huddled up with like 30 dudes, like taking like little group photos and stuff, and he was literally doing this, visiting different, I guess, arcade scenes, or I don't know what the deal was. It was like, I thought it was a really cool initiative. Yeah, it's wonderful.
yeah, I support that 100% as an idea also. I mean, like to a lesser extent, I know like HBox did the Hungry as Fuck series, where it's kind of like, you know, you go around and just like experience the culture or like the food of a certain area, and that like stuff like that is easy to do when there's IRL tournaments, and you can just kind of like take a hour or two to kind of like make your piece, because you're already in a new area anyway. So I don't know. I think it's a great idea. You guys should totally do it, and me and Radar are going to also steal it, by the way. So
like, I love the road trip idea. I think I'd watch the hell out of that. Like that just sounds super fun. I'd be like, Vancouver, come on, Vancouver. Like
that sounds so fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's been a lot of my experience with Melee, is like when I got better, when I was first on Panda, right? Like I was going to different scenes, so each scene has its own like unique feel to it and respect, like culture, and it's really cool to key in on. So like Florida, Michigan was my favorite. Just hanging out with like Michigan Smashers.
Yeah, I loved Michigan, dude. I used to go to, my favorite scenes to go to back in the day were Toph and Scar literally got big.
That's true.
At Jungle Guy tournaments in Michigan.
Was it sweet?
Super sweet.
Okay, yeah.
It was like, that was like our magnum moment. That was, Scar had he did the money match with Crimson Blur. That tournament had a bunch of great moments. Also, my scene I used to love going to was East Canada, like Toronto. I used to go to all the Impulse tournaments, the early get on my levels before it was a major. And for me, I was talking to Ed about this the other night. None. For me, the coolest thing about going to, because I never had a static teammate, and like I really like teams tournaments, but I didn't like them because I wanted to win teams tournaments with like a static teammate. For me, like every big tournament, especially regionals, not necessarily super majors, but like regionals, like when Get on My Level was smaller, so it was like 1 to 200 people instead of like 500 to 1,000 people, I would go and I would always try to team with a new player. And it was great because I would go to a tournament, I wouldn't know them that well outside of their gameplay, and then by the end of the tournament, we'd be like best friends. And I had this None. We went to we were. I was in Nun's stream the other day, and he was drunk, and we were talking about this was after we got. This is like a couple weeks ago, right after the Golden Guardians announcement. It's probably like 3 weeks ago or whatever, and Nun was talking about how like the tournament where we like met and kind of became really good friends was back when we teamed and we beat K-Word and his teammate. And Nun was like, yeah, dude, of course we beat K-Word. And I was like, we did beat K-Word. And that was a really defining moment that was like a big defining moment in my career. And I was like, dude, I didn't know you even saw it that way. That's like really cool. And it was like, that was every tournament. Like I would go to tournaments and I'd team with somebody new. And by the end of the tournament, we'd be like best buds. And that was, I think, how I built a lot of my friendships in the scene was like just teaming with new fucking people at different tournaments. And that was how I got really close with like, I don't know, Kalamazoo and Duck and those guys from Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pros
it was really awesome.
pros, man. Kevin Toy.
That's funny because like I know back when originally being from Ontario and my starting scene being Hamilton, I can remember very vividly the Hamilton guys being like, Toph actually knows Hamilton, man. He said some Hamilton smashers. Like I remember at the time you mentioned like Kason and like Sauce.
Yeah, Kason Birdman. Yeah, Kason Birdman.
Exactly. And they were like, he knows Kason. And I was like, yeah, there you go. So,
Curtis. Not the link. Yeah, sorry, that was always very confusing. There's two Canadians.
Not the Ottawa Sauce, which that was an issue with two people being very close to each other having the same tag. But yeah, so I think people on the chat are kind of talking about this a bit, but like the kind of community culture, and obviously it is COVID and that kind of thing, but maybe that is something that's kind of missing. Is this like there's a vibe, there's kind of a thing, because I even experienced that now being a bit more connected, meeting and talking with people through both the show, through the 5 Days Melee event, that like, yeah, everyone's really chill. It's fun. Like I think showing off the personalities in a different kind of way is a really important part of it.
Dude, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, now that I'm thinking about it, people always ask me like, what's my favorite tournament I've ever been to? For a long time, the answer was Genesis 1, but my answer now is Air 5. I went to the last Air, and Air's coming back this year. I think people should go. When I went to Air was really magical because Air for me had that regional vibe, but it was basically a major. So it was like, it was the scale of a major where there were like 1,000 people, but the vibe was like a regional. And I think it's almost impossible to nail that. Like for a tournament, like Air was the tournament where it felt like a regional, but there were 1,000 people, but all of them wanted to buy you a beer and like get fucked up. And we were going to, there's literally a club 5 minutes. Like, it's like, not when I say club, it's like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of like countryside. So it's like a suburban whatever kind of club. And we were going, like all of us would go to the club like every night till 3 a.m. And like me and like Leffen and Leffen's little group of friends and a bunch of the Americans and a bunch of the Europeans. And I felt like I got to meet like hundreds of people who all had that vibe. And it was so bizarre because you never get that at majors. Like usually you need to go to a smaller tournament for that. And Air 5 was like a fucking magical experience. It really was more like a, I don't know, it was like a music festival, except it was a tournament somehow. Really, really bizarre, wonderful experience. And yeah, I wish there were more tournaments like that.
Yeah, I think the culture does matter a lot, obviously, because we come from being grassroots and everything like that. Like for me, I know like one of the first tournaments I went to as like Turn Down for Walt was Big House 8, which was like in 2018. But that was also, even like as a 20-something-year-old then, I was like, okay, traveling basically by myself. I don't really know a lot of people there. Like I'm going to this kind of on a whim, and being greeted with like kind of a community that's like just down to hang out and like be friends with you, like out of nowhere. Like I didn't know any of these fucking people when I first got here. I just watched them on Twitch. So that like really keeps me invested in the scene personally. So it's kind of like, I'm sure if more people just had the means and like desire to kind of get out there when in-person events return, then yeah, like obviously the scene's going to welcome them with open arms, and that's kind of a good place to start.
It's what the first documentary kind of thematically tried to capture at the end, right?
Yeah.
Where they pan Hungry Box and he's like, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Hungry
You're
Dog.
like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I am a human being.
A little
I don't wanna
dark,
be a
but
part of
alright. It's like,
Yeah. Because it focuses so much on the competition and stuff, which is great, and I think that draws in a lot of people with that whole rhetoric of the five gods and stuff, right? But people just want that sense of community, and I think the melee community is a great place to have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, what would happen if every single person that's playing Melee right now just like found their one friend that used to play Melee or doesn't play Melee or doesn't know what net play is, and then just like installed it for them and taught them how to do it, and even half of those people just like fizzling out after 6 months, like that'd actually be insane. And then that, like, those people that stick with it do that with their one other friend too.
there's
Yeah.
an
That's kinda
entire
what locals
Discord
feel
for
like,
that, I'm
right?
pretty sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually just got someone in chat just said there's a newbie Discord.
That's great.
Yeah,
Even
I'm part of that, but I'm too scared to message anyone in it.
The Discord.
I mean, Sam, you have more than enough resources at your at your
you
disposal
got-
to
no,
get
yeah.
good at Melee. It's like,
Yeah, but I'm playing Yoshi. That's a problem.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
tough.
no Mario, so like you're already ahead of wall.
yeah,
but like,
you can probably beat me already. So,
Yeah. Even when I was teaching my sister stuff about the game and she was holding the controller and she'd like learn one thing, she'd be like, she said, "Oh, I get it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "That is so satisfying." And I was like,
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it really is. And she's somewhat like, she's played games before, like when she was a kid and stuff. It was big for her. But like in her adult life, not much, right? She's not playing many video games. But she's
7% combo.
that was a sick combo.
That was
And
an
it had
insane combo.
considering that's day 2 of like picking up a controller. I'm genuinely, like, I wouldn't say it if I'm pretty harsh, but like I was genuinely impressed. And she was hitting like F tilt fairs, F tilt up airs, and I was like, that's like, Sheik is intuitive, but like that's still pretty hard to like to land. Yeah. So that was good to hear, because it's my firm belief that most people, especially if you like video games, you play Melee for a bit, it's just so easy to get hooked, man. My first tournament, like even just the environment of it, of like hearing everyone fanatically just like the controllers, I was soaked in. I was like, I am not going to be able to leave this, am I? Like, this is
Dude, Zane, do you see what's going on right here? By the way,
I can't read the text from there.
Yeah, Milkman is raging against somebody in my chat. Milkman says, "Don't ask me to play, or just like unranked." But Milkman is going off on this guy.
Oh shit!
Milkman is funny because he's online. He's very abrasive, but just the sweetest person in person. Like in person, yeah. I've seen him in person where I've seen him rant on his keyboard, and he's like, I was in his room and he was ranting. I don't even remember what it was about, but he just had the biggest smile on his face. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
But no, in person, everyone likes him. Yeah.
do you ever have a hard time calling IBW Cody? Because Cody to you will always be Milkman or anything like that.
Milkman's Corey.
Corey, his name's Corey. It's not Cody.
Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Not in 4K.
I thought it was Cody.
To be fair, you call him Milkman, so I don't even blame you. You call him the Milkman.
I have that with Bobby Big Balls. I have a hard time calling Bobby Big Balls. Bobby.
Do you know his real name?
It's not Bobby.
It's Isaac.
Oh wow.
It's
I didn't know
Isaac.
either. I didn't know either.
Isaac Big Balls.
He hates when I reveal this. I love to reveal it.
Ben.
Ben, it's gotta be Ben, right?
It has to be. It has to be. He's 18 guy. He doesn't have another name. There's no other alias there.
I feel like it would be so much of a story of his personality if it wasn't, though. Like if he was like, "Oh no, my name's Eric. I just 3-letter tag, man." It's one syllable.
That'd be the most shocking story, man. That's what we need, is controversial stories like that to open the funnel up, man.
I want to hang out with Ben. I want to. Yeah.
Bobby Big Balls.
I want to hang out because he is a person who, poor guy, is just fighting for his life online, competing.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know anything else with Melee, right?
He has a life, I'm sure. Like, you don't, you know.
Yeah, but
It's not like it's like in some little sphere.
Like, this guy is
only-
trapped in a prison with only one
Dude,
controller plugged
he
into
plays
the
a
wall.
lot, right? It's a pandemic. Like, I just feel like it's a shame to miss out on like going to fests and stuff. And I know he played before, right? So I'm sure he's got. But like, I guess that's what I'm getting at, is like, just
That
like,
does suck, actually. Like, I mean, to that point you made earlier, Zane, it's like, the events that I've gone to, like I don't even play for most of the like I go for like 3 days and I just point my camera
Hang
at
out.
people. Yeah. And it's like, and that's fun for me too. Even if I don't get a chance to like sit down and grind friendlies with people, you know, and get my ass beat for most of the day. There's like something there for everyone, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of the local scene. I think it's like the heart of the Melee community. But I also, again, I'm going through it with like a pretty warped perspective of like my locals were always amazing because it was during like the most explosive time of Melee's growth. So it could just be like a product of the environment that I was kind of brought up in Melee. But I don't know. I think that like if you're not having fun with people, then you probably won't stick with Melee very long. And I think that's like the most crucial thing to continued steady growth. So,
Dude, I can't wait to meet the Golden Gardens people IRL, by the way.
yeah, we can't wait either. We're excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only got to do one media day, but it was super fun. We did karaoke. It was,
Really?
yeah.
Man, that was crazy.
It was super fun.
Doing that tonight? After
Oh yeah. What kind of songs?
So I'm mostly gonna be doing anime music. But I did say
I'm
that,
not doing anime music, man.
I said that people could do whatever they wanted if they wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do one song. One
Yeah.
song.
I just have a lot of weebs in my chat, so I think it like for me it works out. But
Yeah, it's good demographic for you, Toph.
yeah.
Only with the weaves only chat.
Where'd you guys do Wait, where'd you guys hang out? Like, where was the Golden Gardens thing you did? The media day thing?
I don't even remember. Sam, do you know?
It was in the office. Are you asking about the karaoke specifically?
Yeah, karaoke.
In office?
What state? No, like what state was it in? Like in NorCal?
Oh, it was in LA.
It was in LA.
In LA. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Culver City. Yeah,
Culver City.
but then I don't remember where we went karaoke. That wasn't in K-Town, was it?
I can't remember, dude.
Yeah.
Before my time.
It's
Yeah.
been a while. I probably have a video somewhere on my phone. Maybe I can figure it out.
That was a lot of fun.
sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like pizza. It was a whole day.
We went to Universal the next day.
Yeah, like
That was dope.
right before like COVID really started hitting because we had
That's
a little
actually
bit of a
so
COVID
crazy
scare
to me.
during media.
Yeah,
So
my dad was texting me while I was at Universal, and he was like, "Is this okay?" He's like, "Make sure you like wear." I was like pouring Purell all over my hands, and my friend Eric was making fun of me, and I was like, "I don't know, man, it's pretty serious." And he like, "I'll be fine."
we're all sharing microphones, screaming.
We're sharing microphones. I'm pretty sure I shared a drink. I was like, "Oh, this is probably not the smartest idea."
It was like right, like just responsibly, because I was in charge of that media day. It was like
True.
right before everything with COVID was like, wait, this is actually serious. This is not
It
like
was.
some weird thing.
Shit hit the fan literally right after. Yeah.
The weekend after, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, everyone okay? We're
I
good?
went to
Okay,
SoCal that
fine."
weekend. I might have been in SoCal that exact weekend. Actually, I went down with my girlfriend to visit her family.
Mm.
Funny.
Wow. Yeah, I remember when we went into this coffee shop and there were like 30 people in this coffee shop, super crammed, and I was like, "It's weird, right?" This is gonna be, and like literally that afternoon, they were like, "Yeah, like you can't be fucking doing that shit anymore. Like get the fuck." That afternoon, was when we took the order out or whatever. Like, do not be congregating like that. Social distancing. I was like, "Oh fuck." I might already be infected.
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh my God.
Crazy. Yeah, and that's like my last. It's crazy that week, that media day for me is like forever sealed in my mind, just because it was so like, because it was right before COVID, so it's like so influential in my lifetime. It was like, yeah, I remember exactly what I was doing like at this point. Yeah, it's weird.
That is weird.
Well,
Wow.
maybe it'll be the first thing you do after COVID's all over.
True.
So you'll submit that.
True. Might be 7-Eleven. That might be.
Oh no, go ahead.
They're hinting that 7-Eleven's going to be in person, right? This is to. I guess I'm segueing back to our very original topic. SCL is going to transition to 7-Eleven, and I
With
think
no
they're
Canadians, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they said
Canada-
that.
Canada is
often-
behind, man. So no Moki, no, like we do not have vaccines in the same way that the US does
I
right
think
now.
Moki said he got his today, the first one today.
Oh, nice. You've just immediately triggered radar, but all right.
Yeah, my bad. But like, good for Moki, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a couple months between now and 7-Eleven, but like,
The thing is you'll not get the second vaccine because, like, I know for us, like, having most of my family be in Ontario where Moki is, and then being in BC here, like, at least for us, it's like, I think I'm honestly gonna get my first vaccine in like June or something, and then the second one will be several months out from that. So like, for late July, I don't think we're gonna have many young Canadians at least be vaccinated.
Wow.
Radar, sweet summer child. I already got the microchips flowing through my veins, baby.
Well, that's none too. That's like unless like there's a lot of people that wouldn't be. So
yeah, I think like talking more seriously about Melee. First off, Toph, I thought you said 7-Eleven at first, and I was like, all right, free Slurpees, like bet. All right.
Yeah, I heard that as well, and I was like, I guess that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was like, all right, yeah, we could all go get Slurpees, I guess, if that's like a cool thing that
we ride together. We're like, yeah, fuck it, 7-Eleven's gonna be
yeah,
so sick.
I'm flying to California for that one, boys. But
I was like nodding my head. I was like, yeah.
But I mean, on the topic of Summit 11, I think if COVID, like, it's getting better, obviously, with the vaccine rollouts and whatnot. Obviously, it's a bit more challenging for the Canadians and other countries out there. But I think for Melee to be able to run like an invitational event like that is super not easy is the right word, but not impossible, which is where it's cool. And then also it brings back like, what we talked about with kind of storylines and, Zane, you and Mango kind of being like the big two right now, with one of the huge question marks being Cody, and I think the other huge question mark being Leffen. Leffen's going to be at Summit 11 if it's in person.
Is he though? Because I think he's having vaccine issues too.
Is he? Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, we get players like Leffen and, like Moki and Nunn and all of them able to kind of make it out to an event, because, once you can kind of get there, it's easy enough to make sure everyone's following protocols, getting tested, what have you. But that really, I think, will push viewership and like, get people excited again.
If you really think about it from like a mathematical perspective, hear me out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just tell me I'm wrong. Isn't it okay to have exactly one person that's not vaccinated? Think about it. Every other person's vaccinated.
But okay, so like
only one, not two, because they'll get each other sick.
So hear me out though. So if I'm the person flying there, I'm thinking I don't really want to go on a plane. I don't really want to stay in a hotel. Like even if I don't think Hope's going to give me COVID, I think the pilot or whoever, right, is the person I'm worried about.
I think the other problem is it like.
Wait. We hit up Ludwig. He made a bunch of money off the subathon. Ludwig buys him a private jet.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Yeah. That actually does work now.
Like a G5 or whatever.
I want to say I think the other problem though is that like it varies from state to state on what's like the protocol. So like I know for like some states you have to get like, if you don't have like your vaccine card or whatever at this point, you have to get like a PCR 3 days before confirmed, and then you have to get another one when you get there. Otherwise you also have to quarantine in the state. So it's kind of like, if you get people to fly out who might not be vaccinated and then turns out like their test comes back negative, well, okay, they're stuck in whatever state they're in, not able to go to the event also, and they have to quarantine there until they can just go back home. So I don't know like what the solution is. I don't know what it's like for, presumably it'd be in California, right? If it's in person.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so I don't know like what California law would look like by that point.
They'll figure it out, I'm sure. There's some smart guys over there at BTS and Aiden.
Yeah, I mean the quick and easy answer is to just get a jet, though. I think that's definitely the easiest way to solve all our problems here.
Yes.
Do it all outside like a concert, all outside, 6 feet apart.
That would actually be sick, like unironically, I think.
It would actually be
You
cool.
could call it Woodstock or something.
Oh,
Wasn't Battle of the Five Gods
wow.
the music festival?
Oh, you just hear what I said? 4 stock?
Whoa.
Yeah, I like it. Part of the road
This
trip
is how I
series.
keep my salary.
Dude,
We'll
That's
delete
like
this part of the VOD. Don't worry, Sam.
like name for an event. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually
We're gonna make that happen now. Good job.
we got to make 4 stock happen. Yeah. What if we could actually make it? What if we actually make it like a dude? an actual music festival that also had a
A
Melee.
music festival would be cool.
We could get
Featuring
Zoo, man.
Columbia.
I know Zoo's been doing like music performances and stuff
Dude,
like
we
that.
could get some artists. We could get some hyper. Dude, I bet we could
Wave
get Porter
Dash,
Robinson.
yeah.
Dude, Ludwig just tweeted at Porter Robinson. We have poll. We have poll now.
Yeah, that'd actually just be sick.
Did we just come up with a new tournament format?
Porter follows Melee. Porter literally watches Melee.
Yeah.
Also, Gray, the DJs they're like really good at 64. They're like insanely. I think they're both like top 164 players.
I think
Dude,
we're doing
there's
this.
singer, John Bellion.
Yeah.
I like John Bellion. Yeah.
Do you like John Bellion? Dude,
Yeah.
John Bellion beat my ass in Smash 64. He's actually fucking good. So,
Zane's face.
John
Like the
Bellion-
guy who's like, last night I woke the fuck.
So listen,
Zane's already warming up for karaoke night.
Oh shit.
a couple years ago, we went to a 21 Pilots concert. They brought us backstage because they like Melee, and we played them in Smash. Now, Tyler Joseph from 21 Pilots, he's pretty good. He's all right. You know, it's more casual. John Bellion, though, he was like, we need to play 64 because, like, I'm actually good at that game. And we're like, yeah, okay. John
Crack.
Bellion plays a best of 5 with me, beats me 3-0. He plays Captain Falcon. He plays the best of 5 with
We
Cactuar.
didn't even play a gimmick character.
No, he plays Falcon. No, he does the up air 0 to deaths, and he would do
Yeah.
up air B.
Oh.
And then he played a best of 5 with Zoo, and Zoo won game 5. Because Zoo actually plays a little bit of 64.
Let's
I
go,
play
Zoo.
so degenerately in 64.
Dude, he was good. He was like actually good. He beat my ass. He beat Cactuar's
Oh,
ass.
that's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually like legit as fuck. It's like, what the fuck? This is weird.
So I think
Yeah,
that
he's-
that's going to be a tournament that we should actually do. And I talked about like having an analyst desk pre top 8, but like why not just have like a full concert before a top 8 instead? I feel like that'd be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Has that been done with like any other games too? Like I feel like there's so many format, like, you know, I there's so many things that have like a ton of money that I don't know.
Fortnite.
I
had
mean
Travis
LCS,
Scott.
yeah, like they
and-
do
yeah.
stuff like that all the time, but
Yeah, but not a festival, just like a single
No.
concert.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a multi-day thing.
that would
Wow.
be so wild.
Wait,
Oh
actually-
god.
I'd be so mad that I'm trying at that tournament because I know I would just. Yeah, I just be like, yeah, I don't care. I'm winning.
We would have to make it the Air vibe. Like Air was a tournament where like Leffen literally went to the club until 3 a.m. every night. And I
Did he
don't-
win?
He did win.
Yeah,
he
he
beat
won.
West Coast finals.
That's
And
a vibe, dude.
and it was actually, he was such a homie about it. He didn't even like make a big deal out of it. Like he didn't like really like go on Twitter and be like, oh look, I'm like partying every night and I'm still winning the tournament lol. Like he didn't make a big deal about it. He was super chill. I feel like if we did this, like it would just have to be the Air vibe where like everyone kind of accepts that like it's not that serious kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And if we did, it was like, that's what they do at Air.
I don't think anyone in Melee and even outside would have a problem with a casual tournament like that, though. If it's like, you know, you're already paying hundreds of dollars to just play anyway. It's like, okay, I get to go to a
What they did
concert
at
also.
Air- What they did at Air was they had a big circus tent, literally a circus tent, and all the tournament matches for top 64 were inside this circus tent. So it was a big circus tent. It was mostly like outdoor, you know, and there were you could walk in and out. And it felt like kind of an outdoor tournament, but you're in a circus tent, so obviously you're mitigated against rain and wind and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's doable.
I love this idea.
Yeah, Sam,
This is how we
you
do it.
just really unleashed the beast on this one. So
Everyone's
The
thinking
expense
now.
of those.
here's the thing, though. I
right?
think
Yeah.
I want a Porter Robinson, Toph. You got me hooked on that one. And what's even better is that we can have Porter Robinson opening for Chillin' Dude. I think that would probably be one of the greatest shows that Melee and probably the world has ever seen. And I'm really excited for the collab in the future. I feel like he can definitely pull it off. Porter Robinson, that is.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess we'd be blowing the whole
I'm actually gonna
50,000.
think about this. I'm unironically gonna think about this.
Yeah, if
That's
you
what the
want to
graphic
talk more about this,
all
we
right?
should message me because I'm really down with this idea also.
All right.
I think we should bring this up again because this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So now
was
the
brought up on
next
the Mixup
podcast is just going to be 4 other tournament organizers.
Yes. So all right, how do we get musicians into Melee? The funnel has expanded. Oh man. Yeah, I think that's probably a good point to start to wrap things up. There is one question kind of getting a bit more on track that I wanted to ask. I don't think we specifically went over it, but I know some people in my Discord were talking about it with the Golden Guardians Grassroots Fund. Radar, you just said the 50K going towards a concert to get all these people involved.
One single event, just blow it all. Just go wild.
Do you guys know like more about like what that is and like kind of what the initiative is going to be for, where you guys are planning on putting the money, how you're going to decide the events that you want to support, you know, I guess just any more information that goes with that?
I think Sam would know the most about this. No? Okay. From my understanding,
It was a firm shake of the head.
From my understanding, our boss and the head of GG Esports, Hunter, has set up like a Discord of sorts where he's going to start bringing in our players to kind of discuss TOs that they think are reputable. I don't know if they're going to consult me or a couple of the other people who are like pretty familiar with the Melee scene. But we've already had a lot of people. I've had a lot of people in the Golden Guardians DMs who have been like, "Oh, how do I apply for like the fund or whatever?" And I'm slowly working on sending them to the person that they should get in contact with that. But yeah, I think the big effort is going to be towards a lot of smaller effort local scenes. So like, in my ideal world, obviously this is not. I don't get to decide where all the money goes, unfortunately. But I would love to work with Brandon. I'd love to work with Waff and try to get some money towards Rona Rumble. I know he's been working his ass off for the entirety of quarantine, and I think it's only right that he gets a little bit of the cut. But yeah, I think that's a rough gist of what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to go to tournament organizers who are hosting events, both in the near and a little bit distant future, and kind of see what $500, what $1,000, what $2,000 can do for your event, and how that helps you kind of streamline your tournament organizing process. I don't think that we're going to be stepping in, overstepping any boundaries with trying to run the event ourselves, and maybe we just slap a logo on there and see if we can just provide some sort of monetary support and whatever else they might need. But I'm sorry if that was like really general and like PR-y and something like that. But I, to the best of my knowledge, that's kind of what I understand the money's going to be going towards.
No, I think that was a good answer.
Yeah, it was good.
What some people were looking for. Good job. Yeah, you can keep your job as the social media guy.
Yes, thank God. Thank God. I can't wait to shit post tomorrow.
I'm gonna get called into the boss's office tomorrow.
Martha Falco this time.
Any Martha haters, and then everyone's just like, "Fuck you, Zeke."
Just like ripping out some new characters every week.
Yeah, you should just keep that same image and then just change the character name every time at the bottom and see if people notice it.
You guys ever watch Max Keeble's Big Move?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the bully who would like go like this? He had a leather jacket on, and then every time you opened it, every day he'd have a T-shirt with like a new kid's name that he was gonna bully. That fucking Melee character. So like every day I'm just gonna record myself walking up to the webcam, open up a shirt, and then the crowd just goes like Jigglypuff, and then it's just nonstop bashing Puff players for the day. I think that's a good idea.
You got to watch out for Mr. Magoogles though.
I love the random toxicity amidst everything else is just so wholesome about this effort. Like the grassroots fun.
Zeke's like, I'm gonna fuck it all up, man. Like,
and then fuck Jigglypuff. It's just so random.
The funny thing is, that was the same day that we hit 10K. So like an hour after I made that post, I was like, "Yo, by the way, thank you to all the customers for subscribing."
I was immediate.
It was means the world to me.
we wouldn't be here without you guys, except for Jigglypuff players. But thanks by the way.
Thanks, by the way. Fuck you guys. Okay, thanks. Have we passed the Golden Guardians League of Legends YouTube subscriber count?
Yes,
we did.
You did.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
In record time.
We beat Big.
Yeah, you guys got
We did it.
10K in like 2 weeks or something, right? Like that's absurd. You know how long it took me to get 10K? Way longer than that.
Yeah.
I feel like I was cheating. I just have great people, so it just works out.
Oh, you're a great person.
We'll catch up to you too eventually. Hopefully, we'll see.
Man.
One going off on a little bit of different topic. For the players of Golden Guardians, so you Zane and Toph, are there any people that are also on Golden Guardians that you guys are interested in collaborating with? Like maybe the people who play different games. Obviously, don't be like, yeah, PPMD and none. We've been doing some stuff, but besides those guys, like, is there anyone that is there a game that you've ever wanted to check out and now you're on a team kind of that like obviously Zane, it's not like you just got on Golden Guardians, but you know what I mean. Like, is there anything like that you guys would be interested in?
I'm definitely interested. I just don't watch enough League of Legends, and I just for that reason the opportunity hasn't really jumped out to me yet. But I'm super down. Oh, I heard we have a pretty good basketball team.
Yeah, I want to play Melee with Steph Curry.
Just casual.
The Golden Guardians basketball team. I think they got a different name, but yeah, they got some good players.
Yeah, the Golden Guardians of basketball. It's like,
yeah, Golden Guardians of basketball.
yeah.
I know you guys have a dog who plays like Hearthstone and Battlegrounds and that kind of thing. So definitely, as someone who has been playing a lot of that game, I would personally recommend it. But yeah, just a thought.
I guess for me personally, ever since I picked up Melee, it's just been so tunnel visioned on that one game specifically. So like, I remember
it's working out for you. So
I bought Dragon Ball Fighters on release. I remember this, and I was in training mode for like an hour. And I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And then I just turned on my CRT, and then just never looked back. I spent $60 on release, and then just never touched it again.
This feels right.
So mad that I did that. Yeah, but other games in particular, I've been messing with. I know we don't have a team on GG, but like I've been playing a little bit Rocket League, and for me, that game is like if I didn't play Melee. Dude, that game has the same kind of freedom that Melee has, and like I talked about this with Vito of how it feels like Melee feels like Gundam, where you're like you're one-to-one with your movements and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like Rocket League has that same aspect where it's like you can do whatever you want and move however you want.
You become the Toyota with the fedora, and you're like this.
Yeah. Fedora.
And next thing you know, you're cosplaying as one. But
yeah.
Are you nice? Are you nice at Rocket League?
Not yet. I think when I first qualified, I was like gold 3 or something. I don't even know what that means. But
oh, so you're about as good as me, so we can money match then.
Oh, we can money match. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Because bad Rocket League is like bad Melee, where it's really entertaining to watch for some people, but we're constantly struggling for the most part.
Yeah.
I've been playing a shitload of chess. If we had a chess player, I wish we should pick up a chess player, do some chess content. I'm playing a shitload of chess. I have a deal with the Chessbra guy. Well, with Amon specifically from Chessbra that I'm going to hit 1500 by the end of the week. I was at 1300 last week. I was like, I'll be 1500 by next week, and he's like, no shot. And I'm at 1450 right now.
Let's go.
50 right before the stream started. I mean, I think I can do it. I think probably, honestly, after the karaoke stream tonight, I'm probably just going to go on chess.com and I'm going to grind the rest of it out. I think I get to 1500 tonight.
What format?
Huh?
What format?
Blitz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I only play Blitz. Well, the reason I like Blitz is because 3 minutes with 0-second increment counts as Blitz, and 5 minutes with 5-second increment also counts as Blitz. So I can play what feels more like Bullet, and I can feel what plays more like Rapid, which is slower. And it all counts to the same rating. It's like the same. So I only want to care about one elo. I don't want to have all these fucking different ratings. I'm like, oh, what's your rapid rating? I just want to have one rating that I care about. And Blitz, it's a sweet spot for me where I can play both.
Nice.
So can you negotiate 2 contracts if you really get into chess like next year?
Okay.
Go into chess. Go into Melee. Perfect.
I'm down. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, it's funny because I was watching some chess content and they were talking about like COVID. And you know, like every other scene's like, damn, COVID really hit us. All the chess guys are like, yeah, you know, it was basically like ripped you guys, but I'm built different. Like, no, COVID was like awesome for chess. Like, I mean, obviously it's really bad. Like there was a pandemic. But like from the point of view of like how it affected kind of the trajectory of chess interest, like it was just this kind of perfect storm, which was really strange. But yeah, that's how it turned out. And I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like I'm glad one scene at least is thriving.
I know Pokemon had their biggest like sale year last year too, due to COVID.
Pokemon.
That makes sense. Yeah.
All the Emerald Kaizo players out there, my heart goes out to you.
So we're just about to hit 2 hours, so I think it's a good time to switch into the question period of the episode. Walt, do you have any questions kind of lined up for us? Do you want me to pick?
Yeah, I got a good one for everybody here. So this one's from Cypher on Twitter. By the way, hashtag Ask the Mixup is I say this every
Yeah,
episode. It's gonna get trending one of these days. I guarantee
These
you.
days, we're on our way.
Cypher he just started a podcast of his own called the Bottom of the Smash Mountain podcast. I've been a guest on it. Radar, I think you've been a guest on it as well. And he's been having a lot of people on the show recently, so really cool stuff for him. He said, hashtag ask the Mixup, lots of ideas to grow Melee, but here are 2 ridiculous ideas and you have to choose one. Option 1, 3 more Ludwig-style success stories. Option 2, or the return of every notable player in Melee's history attending 2 tournaments.
That's gotta be.
Wow. That's a good question. Jeez.
I feel like Does anyone want to go first?
I have a very selfish answer. And
All right,
it's,
Zane, hit it.
I think I know which one it is, but
I just want a piece of Armada for 2 shots. not even to help the scene or anything. I just
All right. Selfish answer. My answer is the content creator one.
And it's you.
But I'm one of the success stories.
Yeah, that's a better answer.
Fine. And you know what? You said 3. You could be one.
true.
I would definitely say the content creator one. I think it would be just like, I know this joke has been made before about like Ludwig being like our Hulk from Avengers and like, oh, we have a Ludwig, but like it really does feel that way sometimes. It's just like, hey, well, I mean, we got Ludwig in our back pocket if we need to kind of get some extra momentum scene wise. So I think having a couple more of those would be a huge deal.
Yeah, I think
Half, not half, but we have like, we almost could have Alpharad. Like I talk to Alpharad pretty often. It's huge. Alpharad was a big part of the reason Ludwig even blew up. Like they was TwitchCon where me and Ludwig and Alfred were hanging out. This is back when Ludwig worked for the Reeds, and like Alfred was giving us a bunch of tips for the Reeds. And then I think what happened is Ludwig basically got inspired and like already at that point was kind of thinking about branching off and doing more of his own stream. And then he kind of took a lot of the advice and ran for his own YouTube. And that's I think a big part of the reason he blew up. So
no, for sure.
and we need to maybe like I need to do a better job reaching out to people like that and trying to do more collabs and stuff like that because he'd literally probably just be down. He plays like Rivals of Eden.
He loves the game. Yeah.
Yeah, he likes the game.
Yeah, Alpha went to a lot of tournaments too, I think.
Yeah, I hung out with him all weekend at Pier City 7. Yeah, we were just watching Smash together. It was super fun. And he's like, I think his YouTube is like still bigger than Ludwig's.
Yeah, he was cranking out content.
3 million on a video. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think the objective answer is the content creator one, but I think, and what I would want to see, everyone. I'd love to see a big, massive, super March Madness type bracket with every player. That'd be so sick. But yeah, I mean, there's like no, there's no value. It's like invaluable to think about how having Ludwig is like kind of help put even just slightly more eyeballs in the scene. And like think about like when Ninja was like watching. Was it Evo? No, it was Genesis, right?
I think it was Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Ninja was watching Genesis, and it's like something that he does in his spare time. But like the scene that kind of built Ludwig up was his scene before he became the face of Twitch or whatever. I think that's like I don't know. It's huge. I think him having his roots in Melee has like done so much for us in terms of having the credibility. So I think credibility is like you can't put a price on it. So I think that's I think it has to be the influencer one.
Now that being said, the other one is I think both. I mean, obviously both those would be so sick. With the old school player one, like I was actually coincidentally I was literally talking to Kirby Kaze today. I was like, I'm trying to get him to get on Slippy because I was telling him about like Sheik stuff. I hit him up and I was like, hey, did you know that those uppers you used to do, like people are calling those left and uppers now? And he's like, yeah, I saw him doing those. And I was like, because could have been you. He used to rave. He used to yell at everyone nonstop on Smashboards in 2012. He's like, why don't you guys do down throw short up air? Why are you guys not doing that? It's so much better than all this bullshit down throw forward tilt stuff you're doing. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be lost in the sands of time if you don't come back. We're just going to call it the left.
It's a good argument, though. I'd come back if I could get something.
I'm
named
working
after
on him.
me.
I'm working on him. I'm working on him. I'm working on him.
Honestly, he's one of my favorite players of all time for sure. Like top 3 for me. I
You're
really like
Canadian,
him.
so you even I think for you just have to say that. Let's actually.
Yeah, but I mean it too. Like I really liked his Sheik. So, and I feel like we're kind of in an era of Sheiks coming back too. So it'd be a good time for him to kind of pop back in the spotlight. Want to move on to the next question? I think I got one in my Discord asking you guys, and we kind of go around if this is relevant. Tell us about a time where you came close to quitting Melee. What kept you going to not quit? If there was a time.
I mean, Falco is my answer, but that's all.
Well, like what like what's a low point where you were like, ah, man, maybe this isn't it.
I mean, legitimately, the closest thing for me was maybe stopping competing and just focusing on commentary. But I've never.
Yeah.
I've done that. Okay. I've gone to tournaments and not competed, but that was more because of scheduling. That was more because the TOs were like, "Dude, can you please not enter? Like, it's gonna be really annoying to schedule you around the And then I'm like, "Okay, sure," but I've never thought about quitting really.
Yeah, I think I have a very similar story, but it's obviously a lot lower stakes, I think. But it was like the first time that I got PR'd in my region. I like started having all these expectations on myself that I like put on myself, because once you have like the number attached where you're like, I'm number this, I can't lose to number below me. That's just an upset. So it's like every time I went to a weekly, I wasn't even playing to like win anymore. I was just playing to not lose to the people that were like seated below me, because it's like all of a sudden my name was on this. It was so stupid, but I was like 19, so it makes sense. Like when you're 19 and you're like, your entire self-worth is tied to how you perform at Melee tournaments.
It's so hard, teenager.
Yeah. And so when I was losing, I was just like, well, if I'm not getting better, then why even keep playing? And I was just terrible mental state. And then that was kind of when I saw Slime kind of make the move out to LA, and I was like, well, I guess like if I don't want to keep competing, but I still want to be in esports, I should probably try to find a job in esports. So I kind of dropped everything on a whim, and thankfully it panned out. But I commentated main stage. I commentated like pools at some of the majors, which is really cool for me. I'm glad that I'm still going to be an active part of the community and like do stuff like this, because I do. At the end of the day, Melee has given me everything, and I'm super glad that I didn't like walk away entirely. But yeah, I think competing was like just a little too mentally exhausting for me as a person who kind of didn't know which route to take in life. So that was my big step back.
That is a good point. I will say that the times that I guess maybe come the closest to that were like definitely when I was a lot younger. But dude, it's tough when you're a teenager. Like, it's hard to be a teenager.
Everything sucks when you're a teen.
Because I started playing when I was like 18 or 19. Yeah, dude, and it sucks because like you just don't have that much perspective, I guess, yet, and everything feels so serious and world-shatteringly important.
Yeah, it's like
you're like, and then you think you've got it all figured out, so it's like the worst of both worlds.
yeah. I love being so headstrong that you're like, well, surely this is my path. I'm the main character of the anime. And then you realize that you lose like twice, and you're like, fuck it, maybe I'm not the main character. Maybe I am the background character. So, like, you have like this super defeatist attitude. Yeah, I don't know. 19 was maybe the wrong time to get super competitive about Melee, but I wouldn't change a thing. It was really fun for me.
Zane, do you have an answer? You look like you've been really thinking deeply about it.
I was thinking so hard about it.
You've never thought about quitting.
It's not from a loss or anything, or like it was more. No, that was painful, but like I just wanted to play again.
You just wanted
yeah, I think it was my senior year of college where I was getting close to graduating, and I was evaluating. I'm like, all right, well, I've been doing this at college for 4 years. Is it time to just like wake up and use my degree? Or because like my parents, I'm the youngest child, so I think for them they learned this lesson of like not to put too much pressure regarding like, especially when you're young. It's like, well, this is your chance to do whatever the fuck you want, and I know what I wanted to do, but I was like, or should I just like go for stability right now? And I was at that kind of turning point, and I just said fuck it. And I mean, it was really like it could have swung either way. I felt like at a certain moment, but I was like, I got sponsored by PG at that point, and I was getting better results. Then I went to my first summit, and that was at the like tail end of my college career, because it was like in like May or something, and I got third there. And
was this Lincoln Park?
No, this was the first summit where I was a vote-in, and it's where I beat Plup. I beat Mango in quarters, Plup in semis, and I was like, I'm not wasting my time here. This is something that is like meaningful to me, and it's something that I love doing. So, plenty of people take gap years when they're graduating from college. So I was like, I'm just gonna go all in on this, and I'm glad I did.
Do you think, like, in the worst case scenario or whatever, not worst case, but in the alternate case where you decided to go into professional work, just go into the industry or whatever, I mean, do you think you could have been like a Rishi or a Lod where, those guys obviously still play and they're more focusing on their jobs, but Lod enter stuff, Rishi enter stuff. Do you think like that would have been a
almost certainly? Yeah, there's no way I completely separate. Yeah, because I love the game too much. There's no way I can completely separate myself. But I don't think, like, if I didn't give it the full attention that I did, I don't think I'd be where I am right now.
What do you study, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
Business IT. And cool. I just did not have any passion for it whatsoever. Like, it was just like, it was a mix between coding and like project management and stuff like that. So it didn't really commit to anything, right? It's kind of indicative of how I felt about studies in general at that time. And I mean, I did okay. Like, the way I would study and the way I would take exams and stuff, I'd play so much Melee. And then the night before, I'd commit to my procrastination, where I'd be like, you know what? I'm not gonna like mope about this and be stressed. If I'm deciding to procrastinate and playing Melee, I'm gonna enjoy the time that I'm procrastinating, and if like I can worry about it when it comes. And so it's like I didn't feel stressed at all until like the day of my exam, and I'm like, all right, now this is hard mode of my exam. Yeah, I was like, this is the time that I've given myself. Let's see what I can do.
Dude, I did that every by my senior year, I literally pulled 3 all-nighters a week.
Oh my god,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Probably bad, like health-wise, but I'm still here.
Yeah,
that is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know like Toph, Sam, like you can relate. The engineering life is kind of like, it's like that anyway. So you just kind of just get destroyed by coursework, and then you're like, I might as well just put it off anyway, because everyone fails the test in class anyway, and if you get a 50, that's actually a C+, so it doesn't really matter.
Dude, I remember like there was one, because like all the the computer science students would hang out in the computer labs and do our homework in there. And there was this one week when we had this assignment for like compilers or whatever, and everyone was just like, there were like multiple people in there crying. And I don't think a single person in the whole class completed the assignment. Like, we were just like, this is hell, and we're just here together. And I was like, all right, well, if that's what it's gonna be, then I'm gonna go, dick around and play Melee for 2 days, and then I'll see you guys in 2 days.
Yep.
And you're still not gonna have anything figured out. And I'll just be back, and then I'll commiserate with you then, and then we'll all fail together anyway, so fuck it.
Yeah.
I had some classes that were so fucking
that was the part that always like blew my mind about, not to get like too off tangent, but like I TA'd for thermodynamics, put it to use actually in one of my videos, which was good. But like it's crazy to think like the way that like the engineering courses like weighted their curves and everything, because like no one in any of these classes would get like passing grades ever. Like the class average was probably like a 60, and then so like I'd go to meet with the professor like knowing full well that I scored like a 40 on the first midterm, and then like maybe like a 75 on the second one to make up for it, and he's like, yeah, you're actually on track for an A in my class if you just keep it up. And I'm like, dude, keep up what? Like, I failed every test, and so has everyone else in here. What do you mean?
Yeah, it was literally, I remember preparing for tests and just being like, I just need to learn this equation like halfway. Partial credit on every single answer will get me past.
Yep. Fastest way from point A to B, man.
100%.
I sent one of my old tweets that I found it in the Discord chat, but this was like right when I was about to graduate and I had exams.
Resolute in your procrastination.
It's actually so funny because it's exactly what I was just talking about. I was probably playing Melee like right after.
Oh my god! I'm gonna retweet this right now.
I just retweeted it as well. That's a vibe for sure.
So funny, dude.
That's good. All right, I think we'll go to the next question. This one actually is from me. It started. I was watching Leffen stream, and this kind of little topic came up a bit, and it's this idea of what time period would you define as modern Melee? So I did a Twitter poll for this, and I had it be like post documentary 2013 onwards, post 20XX Hack Pack 2015 onwards, post UCF / Uncle Punch a little bit later, which is 2017 onwards, and then Slippy era, which is, we all know, 2020 onwards.
I saw this poll. I also voted on this poll. I voted for post doc. I voted for 2013 onward. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's when I started, and I like maybe
that was my answer. Yeah, that was my answer for a long time. And then I was watching this video from like it was like 2015 or 2016 recently, and someone did this like move that like sent the guy towards the platform, and the guy teched on the platform instead of sliding off, and I was like, this is unwatchable.
Yeah.
It was like
gameplay.
a good net. No, like literally, he texted the platform, like it gets followed up on. I'm like, why didn't he slide off? Like every unranked Falco is sliding off now, and I'm like, that was like terrible, and I just couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch anymore. And I just
you're disgusted.
I think it was your. I think it was your commentary block.
Probably.
No, I was gonna say at SEL when I think it was Simon and Squid were talking about how like you were like, oh yeah, remember when Mango used to like not like he refused to shield drop? Like that was just his thing. He was like, I'm not gonna shield drop because I'm cool. I can win without shield dropping. And it's like for me that was like when I started playing, I was like, if you shield drop, you're like everyone just followed the Mango opinion. So it's like if you shield drop, you're a nerd. Like you're just like
try hard.
I'm really a nerd. Yeah. And now it's just like day one. It's like day one. It's like people are shield dropping and doing like they're like, oh, I'm taking everything. It's insane. Everything's just so much more.
Have those like house rules though, like based on your region too, and like who you play with. Like I would play with my group of like high school friends growing up, like free for alls, and like if you edge guarded, like you were a nerd.
I was about to say grabbing the ledge,
like,
right? Like
someone would grab the ledge by accident because we're playing a 4-player, and people would be like, oh, so we edge guard now? Okay, like. You know, it's just like, it's like, all right, time to plug into Duino. You know, it's like,
I do remember that, dude. In my senior year of high school, like right before I went to college, there was a group of friends that I actually played Melee with, like at their house, and we'd always call it. This is when I was like 17 or 18, and we would call it Smashy Bees. Like you try to play some Smashy Bees, and you beat up Melee, and then they'd be like, and then for some reason we would always play free for alls or teams because there's 4 of us, and then they'd be like, and we'd always only play on Final Destination just because we loved Final Destination. And it'd be like, Final D's. So Final D's. And that was it. And then it was exactly that. Like if you edge guarded someone, they'd be like, oh, we're edge guarding now. And then they'd be like, gang up on this guy. And then we'd gang up on that guy.
I feel like it wasn't even edge guarding. It's like
Final D's on commentary.
Yeah.
What if I get back? I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think definitely shield dropping for me is a good example of it. Like I would have said 2013, but then after like people were talking about, no one used to shield drop in the same kind of way. And the slide off is another good example. It made me kind of question like, maybe it isn't kind of post doc anymore. Maybe that's too outdated.
Yeah. Maybe I've been converted.
Honestly.
The window for me is usually like 3 or 4 years back. And then it like just kind of moves forward, What feels modern. Like, I don't know, what was like 2017 or 28, like Zane HBox, your win at Shine, that was 2018, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, that still feels modern. I don't know. That feels like
I would say so.
What's crazy is that was before UCF.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. So you just had it like that.
Oh yeah, I just had it like that.
yeah. You had a guy with a trench coat full of cracked controllers. Like,
what's up?
Wait. Leffen, when was Leffen shoot at?
2017.
It wasn't universal at that time. UCF came out in 2017 for sure.
Shine 2017. I made a whole video on this.
Wait, so Shine 2018 had UCF?
Yeah, because UCF wasn't on. IMO should be replayed.
Yeah. And then 2018 had on UCF. Have you only been hyping up your win versus HBox at Shine 2018 because you thought you beat him without UCF?
I thought my dashbacks were just insane.
I think you would UCF.
Did I? That's when they were first experimenting with Duinos, I think.
Sure. I mean, Duinos also fixed their dashback.
Duinos also did, yeah. Oh, maybe I'm crazy.
Zane is having a Mandela effect. I'm actually like midlife crisis right now. Where he truly believes everything before 2018 didn't have UCF. Like,
Zane, look at me, Zane. It's still a good win. It's still a good win. You're fine.
All right. It's all right.
It's only decent now. It's like a 5.
It's all right, dude.
You just beat him.
I was so impressed with myself. he was like, you guys know. I'm hitting all on shield drops.
I'm really feeling myself today. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must just be on fire.
I'm so sick and handsome.
Dang
Now
it.
you're gonna get sad Zane on karaoke, Tove.
Oh my god.
Reddit.
There's a lot of good sad songs.
It's true.
Oh man. I just got a question like 20 minutes ago actually on Twitter. This one is from Ventus Official, who's in chat. He says hashtag ask the Mixup, when is the Walt Zane Rocket League money match? And then he says, in seriousness, what is something the community could prep now to launch into the new era of locals and rollback?
Prep. Prep is an interesting word.
I think the idea of like qualifiers, that's a smaller scale one, I guess. But like keeping these kind of qualifier events online.
I got an answer.
Let's hear it, Toph. Mine is dog shit anyway.
I think Deer had a similar thought because this came up. The online qualifiers thing, and people were saying, "Well, dude, it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of fucking whack because like people who could otherwise go, like Europeans, would ironically not even be able to play online, or whatever." So there's challenges. The idea that I thought was actually kind of neat was like tournaments like Big House in the past have had ladder side events.
Yes.
They have a ladder, and then a bunch of TVs are ladder setups, whatever. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever played in some of those, but I had a really cool setup, which was or idea for, which was okay. Imagine a major, and then they have a bunch of slippy setups, and you have ladder matches where you can participate in the ladder remotely, and people at the ladder can and you can be in the ladder at home. Playing people at the venue, people at the venue can be matched with each other, or people at home can be matched with each other, or people at home, people at home or people at the venue. And so you can feel like you're participating in like a side event at the tournament without even being there. So for the people that don't get to go to a tournament,
Amazing. Yeah.
Even imagine like there's a top player that like he didn't get to go to this tournament. Yeah, it's something going on, or he didn't want to travel. Not everyone goes to every tournament. But then imagine like, oh shit, I heard like so-and-so has been tearing up the ladder, kind of thing. That was kind of cool. And I just feel like it would like kind of make people at home feel like they were part of the event. And I think we can do it because you just need some monitors and some slippy setups, which, like could be done theoretically.
You could definitely do it. I feel like it could be a donation incentive too if people wanted to play like top players as well.
I was gonna say like live events already do like, I know like IBDW at I want to say Genesis, Genesis 6 maybe, or whatever it was, like a recent event was doing stuff where it was like if you beat IBDW you get a free item from like Jisoo's store, like back in the day or whatever, where it was like pretty cool. You could get stuff like that going with online very easily. Not to go down a very deep rabbit hole here, but Toph, you said all you need is a couple monitors to get it going.
Really, that's a whole
do we do I mean, this is not worth the amount of time that we put into it, but how do you guys feel about
I think I expect people to say, Walt's question is just, should we switch to monitors? I feel like the answer in the call is going to be yes, right?
I'm pro monitor.
Yeah.
Unless they're
okay.
like we should.
Zane?
Yeah, I'm pro monitor. I mean, I did it the only time I've done it as low tier city, and it was fine. Aside from, I think audio stuff needs to be tweaked a little bit. But besides that, it just feels so much logistically better, and I don't mind playing on them. Honestly, it even adds for more consistency than CRTs themselves, because there's a lot of variance within the CRTs.
Yeah.
So
people don't talk about that. They act like they're all the same, and they're not. Like,
yeah, I've
really
always been
not.
interested in that discussion, even when it was like more controversial to even think it, because it's like, to me, my thought process was kind of like, yeah, monitors are expensive, and it's it is a lot to get going with that, but like I think overhead is kind of less when you can get like an event like Evo or something to just run every single bracket on the same monitors. where it's like realistic, like logistically, it almost makes more sense to me to do that. But you know, then you get lambasted by people that are like, well, they're not CRTs, so you know, whatever. But I don't know.
I want to switch to monitors and then like be like because Evo's the Cannon brothers now, right? Like they got Mr. Wizard out of there. F that guy. I want to be like, yo, Cannon brothers, we're on monitors now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that's such a huge selling point to not have to truck hundreds of CRTs.
Like Tios hates CRTs, dude. Tios hates CRTs. It's like, yo, we're on monitors. It's easy. Just have us back. We're super chill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I honestly wonder. No, go ahead.
Work. No, that's it.
I honestly wonder if like we were talking about narrative issues and stuff of like what's a new player thing. I do wonder if there's people who kind of like are vaguely aware of Melee and are like, I mean, like CRTs. Like, is that part of the kind of reputation of the game that, you know, now our community is kind of like, I mean, CRTs, we don't need them. Like, you know, is that kind of something that's hurting us that could help us to be more publicly like, we love monitors kind of as a vibe?
I think it wouldn't hurt.
Even just you're saying like to let Evo and like big events know like, hey, we don't require some like specialty service that has, you know, 200 TVs to get an event running anymore. Assuming that's kind of what we make the switch to. So. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we have any more questions, Walter? Or should we get close to wrapping it up? Or?
I think we can get wrapping up here. Of course, you know, guys in chat, I know a lot of people in here tonight. We appreciate that a lot. Keep your questions, you know, save them for next time we go live. You know, it might be with these guys again because, you know, Melee Music Festival is happening as far as we're concerned. So, but yeah, you know, want to say huge thanks to you guys, of course, Zane, Sam, Zeke, Toph. Really fun. Every single episode that we've done, personally, I think has been even better than the last. This one I had a lot of fun with, and I hope you guys did too. If now's the time where I think we do the plug your socials and, you know, talk about yourself for a little bit. So go for it.
Kick us off, players. Sure.
Follow my boy Zeke at Golden Guardians on Twitter. Subscribe to the GGMelee YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Content there.
That's right.
I'm just Melee.
Wow.
What'd you say? What'd you say? Zane, what'd you say?
Oh, I said I'm just plugging GGMelee because I mean I stream every day, but you guys know where to find me. But yeah, go subscribe to GGMelee.
I don't know how to find you because the other day my browser has the Zane SSBM.
Oh, I kept it stored in the history.
So I had to type it in myself. Yeah, I actually didn't know where to find you. Well, I did, but I did do it myself. My browser didn't know.
All right, well, never mind. Zane Nagmi on Twitch. Zane Nagmi on Twitter as well. Please follow me. I need it. Never mind. I'm gonna take advantage of this.
How many Twitter followers do you got now?
That's a good question. Let me see.
Dude, remember that time at the Mango where me and Leffen were like trying to get you Twitter followers?
Yeah, I got like 5,000.
Damn.
That's good.
Yeah, I have 66,000.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Good. Oh wow, that's really good. Yeah.
It's on the upswing. Yeah.
Toph BBQ with an underscore on Twitter, no underscore on YouTube and Twitch. Actually, the number one thing I care about is YouTube subscriptions. Subscribe to my YouTube. It's free.
Yep.
Yeah. It comes at no cost to you. In fact, the YouTube algorithm is such that even if you subscribe to me, if you end up not liking my content, you actually won't even have to unsubscribe because stop showing you my videos. Like the YouTube, like subscriptions literally don't even matter for viewers. Like the algorithm is all.
It matters so much for creators. So,
but it matters.
Hey, bigger number, better person, man. So why don't you stop devaluing my self-worth? Okay, like
precisely.
Yeah. Follow Golden Guardians on Twitter. Follow GGMelee on YouTube. Those are subscribe to GGMelee on YouTube. We hope to keep putting out some. Yeah. And follow Just Casual on literally all platforms: Pinterest, Bluetooth, all those.
On Twitter, that's it.
Yeah. We hope to keep putting out cool shit for you guys. Thanks for having us. This was really, really fun. I don't know. I could talk Melee forever, so I'm glad we had a good group of people to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to have you guys. Like, I'm really glad that we got to the episode. I know Walt and I, when we kind of were talking about this, we came up with the idea a while back, and then the kind of Golden Guardian stuff happened, and we were like, all right, let's get this stuff going. So, feels good to have it actually all pan out.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, thank you guys in the chat for sticking around to watch, both the people who tuned in to us over here at the Mixup, and then Toph, thanks for co-streaming with us. That was a lot of fun. We will hopefully be doing this every other week, every week. I don't know. We talked, me and Radar talked about wanting to do this more frequently, so we'll try to be more consistent. But
we had some issues, so
yeah,
but
we'll figure
back
it
on
out.
it.
SSB and Pino with the raid. We're just about to wrap up, but thank you a lot, man. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Mix up every other Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Me, Radar, bunch of fun guests, and sometimes you get the Golden Guardians here, which was, of course, very, very fun. And I think the moral of the story today is, if you're going to procrastinate, be resolute in your procrastination. That being said, again, guys, thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk more about this music festival, because we're absolutely going to do this.
I can't wait to see all of you in chat, all of the many hundreds of you in chat at the Melee Music Festival. Which we have to call four stop.
I think Falcochella. You guys don't like Falcochella?
Okay, I'm kind of into it. We can pull it. The community. We can pull it.
Oh, Christ. All right. Well, with that, we're going to start to wrap up. And I know, Toph, you got some vocal warm-ups that you need to be doing. Zane, maybe you also. So for all of us who are still in my chat and may not be watching Toph, I'm going to raid you, because we should be watching that for sure. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. This has been the Mix-Up, Turn Down for Walt and Radar, joined by the Golden Guardians today. Of course, a lot of fun, and Melee is sick. We hope to see you again in a couple weeks. Thanks, guys.
See ya.